A beautiful, peaceful day on the Swan River, which runs right by Steel Blue Oval, the venue for our match of the day this afternoon between Swan Districts and East Perth. We see the McDonald stands and the Bill Walker stands in the background. They're real landmarks here at Steel Blue. And welcome everyone, because our match of the day this afternoon is between Swan Districts and East Perth. Both winners in their round one matches last week, and they'll be looking to get more premiership points on the board this afternoon. Let's have a look at the ladder now after the first round of fixtures, and we see Subiaco, the reigning premiers, right on top of the ladder again where they finished off last year. East Fremantle, last year's Wooden Spooners, are in second spot. East Perth and Swan Districts combatants this afternoon in third and fourth. And outside the four, Perth, West Perth, South Fremantle, Claremont and Peel Thunder, provisionally on the bottom of the ladder, but they start their season today. As we look at the match to be played this evening between Peel Thunder and Perth at Rushton Park, and that game starts this evening at 6:30. East Fremantle having the bye this weekend. And tomorrow the round is completed where Claremont take on West Perth at Claremont Oval. That game starting at 2:15. Well, both the other results, of course, last night, Subiaco and South Fremantle, the reigning premiers, 25-goal winners over South Fremantle, who have really started the season very, very poorly indeed. Well, Steve Turner and Glenn Buick have started the season just the way they want to. They had good wins last week away from home, and they'll be looking to double up this afternoon and get early premiership points on their tally. And our boundary rider for this afternoon, Todd Ridley, caught up with both coaches just a little while ago and found them in a very buoyant mood.
Yeah, certainly, mate. It's always good to chalk the first one up on the board, and being the first game of the year, we're a wrap with the boys. It's 5 months of work went into that, but also know that this week's just as important as last week. We're looking forward to what lies ahead of us today.
And today's game, how do you beat the Swans at home?
Kick more goals. That's the plan. No, we're happy with, I guess, the players that we've got out on the park, and they deserve to be playing again today, so we haven't made much changes to the team. We just think we're just going to play our running game and do the little things that we know that make us competitive. It's going to be a great game, and I think if we tick enough boxes at the end of the game, we should be able to get over the line.
Important, the first game's always good to get off to a good start. Being at FTL Oval too, their home ground, it was even probably more of a bonus. But first up, hard hit out, it was good to get the 4 points.
What areas do you see you've improved this year compared to last?
Probably a bit early to say yet, but we put a lot of emphasis, on our depth. Developing the young players, giving them opportunities. And I think just more our running game and carrying the ball, and we've worked a bit on our structure as opposed to last year. We've got a little bit of a different setup this year because of the players we've introduced. Allows us a bit more flexibility in that regard.
So two pretty confident coaches there, heading their sides up this afternoon, and the players getting treatment and bandaged and limbered up in readiness for what will be a very important match this afternoon. Shane Berros lucky to be let off his charge of striking earlier in the week, the tribunal finding in favour of him, and the players will be very confident after kicking 20 goals last week. It was a very high scoring match. Steve Turner putting the game plan up on the board as we move into the East Perth rooms. And they would be equally confident. A good strong win against West Perth at Arena Joondalup. That's never easy. As the players hydrate themselves, it's going to be a very, very warm day here at Steel Blue Oval this afternoon, and I'm sure that the pressure will be very intense. Well, joining me in commentary this afternoon is John Dorotich and Ryan Turnbull. And first of all, Doro, I made mention of the fact that early premiership points are very, very important, and I'm sure that Steve Turner would be looking at having one away from home last week to make sure that he secures the 4 points in his first home match this year.
Well, he will, and welcome. And look, it's going to be a terrific game, and winning games at home is pretty important. I think most clubs go throughout the year wanting to win most, or at least only dropping 1 or 2, if that, of their home games. And when you look forward to round 3 and 4, Swans played the premiership side and the runner-up last year, Southland's Subiaco. So I think it's going to be pretty important that they win today, because you don't know what will happen down the track.
Well, Glenn Buick, Ryan has made a good start to his coaching career, his senior coaching career, winning away from home last week. It's never easy up at Arena Joondalup. He did that. Now another tough contract coming up to Bassendean this afternoon.
Yeah, it certainly is. It's tough back-to-back 2 away games, but the boys are very fit this year. They've spent a lot of time working on their fitness, which is going to put them in good stead because there's a bit of breeze, so depending on which way they get the breeze early on, they might have to run through it in the last. But yeah, they played very well last week, and they'll be looking to back it up this week.
Well, the contests recently, at least last year, have been shared between these two sides. If we look at the head-to-heads in round 5 last season, Swan Districts won by 38 points, and then a big turnaround in 14 when East Perth won by 79 points. Well, the gains at Swan Districts, they've picked up Chad Morrison, a very important one from Collingwood to be an on-field leader. Tyson Lane from the Menunda Hawks, and Kim Eads returns from the club. Their losses include Joel Cornelius and Craig Callahan, 2 real veterans who have retired. Dylan Harper has gone to South Bunbury. Chris Maguire also to South Bunbury, and Damien Casson has retired. If we look at East Perth, their gains include Trevor Scott from Claremont. Brendan Hancock comes back to the club and actually back into the league side this afternoon. Victor Petropoulos returns to the club, and Shane Creevy has come up from Peel Thunder. They lose Wilson, of course, their major goal kicker in recent years, who's retired. Mark Ainley returns to Melbourne. Matthew Leuenberger has gone to Brisbane. Gary Moss picked up by Hawthorn in the pre-season draft, and Craig DeCourcy has gone to Victoria with his employment. Well, if we look at the Swan Districts lineup, and Dore, not a bad one. It was very successful last week. Interesting to see Ames at centre-half forward. Of course, he can take a run on the ball and could be one of the most influential players in the competition this year.
Yeah, he will be, and there's a big story in the paper about Talon, and he's had some injury problems, but you know, there's some different players that are coming in. Ipovitz, they're named at centre-half back as a new one as well, and when you look at the balance over the lines, they've got some experience. Adam Lang's the captain this year. He's just a wonderful player, and if they can get first use of the footy, certainly out of the middle of the ground and around the stoppages, I think they've got the firepower to kick a winning score here this afternoon.
They certainly will be looking for some improvement. As we look at East Perth, well, they've already shown some improvement. Ryan, a few new faces there. Oliver in the centre of the ground, Kane at full back, so going from down the goal-to-goal line, they'll be looking for to continue good form from those new faces.
They certainly will, along with the likes of Spanderman and Merrington. Merrington was a fairest and best winner a couple of years ago, and this year he's got a big role to fill with Wilson retiring and stepping up at full forward. So look for those two players to have a big impact on the game. Webster on the half-forward flank. Zach Beck had a pretty much interrupted season last year, so he'll have a good tussle with Talon Ames, so I'm looking forward to that contest as well. But it's an interesting lineup. There's some players out in the reserves that are regular senior players, so they've gone with a lot of youth today.
As Swan Districts run out in the ground, and they too have got some very promising young players wearing the black and white this afternoon. And the cheer squad there seeing the players safely onto the ground, and they'll be looking to carry on their good form from last week. Certainly on paper they do look as though they've got some very talented players. Some of them, Doro, we talked about a little earlier. Ipovitz, for example, holding down centre half back, new to us, but 23 years of age, and has obviously got a lot of body strength.
He certainly has, and he's one of 3 players that Swans have got. We saw Steve Turner before the game from the Menunda Hawks, and there's 3 of them, which we believe fills up in Cairns, somewhere up in far north Queensland. So,
as East Perth make their way onto the field, and I suppose, Ryan, with the big hole, massive hole left by Troy Wilson's retirement, it throws a lot of responsibility, even more so, on Andrew Merrington, who's been at the club now for a few years.
It certainly does, and just looking at him come out in the oval, he looks a lot fitter this season, so hopefully he's got a good wind tank that he can utilise and run across the ground and cover a lot of ground, because they are big shoes to fill.
Well, someone who's got an important role in Swan District's forward line, Doro, is Wolf. He kicked 5 goals last week. Daniel Wolf, originally coming from St Kilda.
yes, he is, and that's a pretty good start for Daniel. And you'll see on screen there, he's not overly big, certainly like Andrew Merrington or a Lane Spanderman. He's certainly not 6'4", 6'5", but he's a very smart player, and you get him isolated down inside 50 on his own. Swan Districts give him the advantage in terms of kicking the ball to his favoured side. He could cause some serious damage this afternoon.
Speaking of Lane Spanderman, there he is. He is a big man. He's come via the Brisbane Lions, now on the West Coast Eagles rookie list, Ryan.
Yeah, he's had an interesting sort of run with his career, or his emerging career. He didn't have much success up at Brisbane, and has been thrown a lifeline by the West Coast Eagles. Last year, he seemed to be a little bit disappointing early due to the fact that he wasn't fit. He looked a little bit underdone, but as his season progressed, he did spend a lot of time as the ruckman, because the likes of Zach Beck were missing, and stepped up and played some really good games. So he can be thrown on the ball and also play up forward. So it'll be interesting to see how they manage him and also utilise him for the side.
One of Swan District's favourite sons, Shane Berros, the number 15. Doro, he's a Sandover medalist, and I suppose he's breathing a sigh of relief, as all Swan District supporters would be. Let off a charge earlier this week.
Yes, and look, he'll be, I suppose, wanting to pay back his teammates, because you never know, like unlike the AFL, there's certainly not all the cameras around, so sometimes it's word of mouth as to who did what in those situations. He luckily got the benefit of the doubt. I think he'll want to repay that to his footy club today, and most importantly his teammates. And we know what he's like. He is the barometer of Swan Districts. Shane Berros is on his game early and he gets hold of the football, then things usually end up in a positive way for the Swan District side.
Ryan, we've already referred to Andrew Merrington. He's been around for a while. He's played 61 games for the club, and probably now in season 2007 it's time for him to really start to take charge and be a real on-field leader.
Yeah, and it looks like the club are sort of thrusting him into that position, making him a vice-captain this season. He has kicked a bag of goals in 05. He kicked 51, so he can kick a goal. His marking sometimes lets him down. He can either take good marks or then can fumble them.
Well, Michael Swan has won the toss for East Perth, and he's elected to kick, I think, to the left of screen. As we look at Swan District's players limbering up there, and Tyson Lane, a new player also from the Menunda Hawks. Doro, we don't know a lot about him. Yeah, he's a big boy.
He has certainly played AFL before. He has played with St Kilda and Collingwood, Tyson. He's another one, a bit like Daniel Wolfe down there, is, as you can see, he's not super huge or tall. He's probably just the old Collingwood 6-footer, as they would say, but once again, very dangerous when he gets the ball into a bit of space inside that attacking 50.
As the Swan Districts players getting into their huddle, and in amongst that lot, we saw Matt Seal kick 5 goals for East Perth last week. Ryan, you know a little bit about him, but he's certainly a talented young player.
He certainly is a young fella. I possibly thought he might have got picked up in the draft last year, because he's an emerging talent. Possibly the downside is quite slightly built, and I wouldn't say he's blessed with a lot of pace, but he's certainly a capable footballer at WAFL level. And look, there's nothing stopping him from having another good season this year and possibly getting picked up at the end of this season.
Yes, we'll be certainly hoping so. And there's Adam Lang, number 27. He's been around for a while as well, Doro, and he's just one player who, talking of consistency, he just performs week in, week out for Swan Districts, and of course he's had some time in the AFL with the Kangaroos, originally having come from Subiaco.
Yes, he has, and been bestowed the honour of being and leading the side this year with the captaincy role, and I think that'll do him well, because he is in the prime of his career and he does lead by example. Bit of a swing man for Swan Districts, can play through the middle, go forward, play back, so once again a vital cog in this Swan District side.
Well, it's a warm day, as we've mentioned, here at Steel Blue Oval, and enjoying the sunshine. Our boundary rider for this afternoon is Todd Ridley. Good afternoon to you, Todd.
Good afternoon, Phil. Good afternoon, everybody, on a beautiful day at Bassendean Oval. Current temperature is 24 degrees, 45% humidity, and the winds from the west-southwest at 26 kilometres per hour. Now, I think we're in for a big game today. Last week we saw a one-sided affair, Subiaco-Claremont, but two teams who are on the up and are big improvers this season. I'm leaning towards Swans myself, mainly because of their experience in AFL, particularly up forward with Wolf, Lang and Taylor, and in the midfield, very hard run inside with Lang, Berros and Roberts. But don't count East Perth out, because they come away for another away win and they're pretty keen. Back to you, Phil.
Thanks, Todd. Well, Todd's not the only one enjoying the sunshine this afternoon, because there are quite a few patrons who have come into Steel Blue. They've spread the rugs out and they're enjoying the match from the outer side of the ground, if you like, and there is the members' reserve here at Bassendean Oval, the John Cooper, John Todd Pavilion. So the members taking up their positions and the players taking up their positions on the field as well, as this game is about to get underway. Well, Todd's declared his hand. Swan Districts for him. Doro?
I think Swan Districts can win this afternoon.
Ryan?
Look, I think Swans should win, but my heart is with East Perth. Can't help myself.
All right, well, I'm going for Swan Districts as well, probably only because of the home ground factor. Their first match in front of their home fans this afternoon, as the umpire is about to put the ball down. Powell in ruck, number 44 for Swan Districts. Knocks the ball down well to Pierce, who got the ball onto his boot. The first kicks sends Swan Districts inside their attacking 50. They've still got the momentum. Now it's Eastwell who picks the ball up for East Perth. He was cool in a cross. He's got the hand pass away to Byrne. Agostino, long hand pass now, and there's a chance now for them to get out of trouble as Copping draws a player. That was Wolf. He hand passes long to Webster, replacing Adam Selwood in the lineup this afternoon. And Webster goes to Hancock, plays on with it quickly after taking it in his fingertips, kicks the ball in the path of Noakes. He's at half forward, sits up nicely for him. He centres the ball, which is a pretty good option. They need Merrington to take the mark, but a good spoiling option down there by Nankiville has forced the ball over the line and out of bounds.
Good transition play there by East Perth. They were under a little bit of pressure in their back line and managed to run it out with a chain of handballs.
Todd Ridley's got the Swan District's bench.
Certainly have Formanchik, Lane, Jones and Chad Morrison, an interesting starter on the bench.
Indeed, Chad will be just gradually eased into the action this afternoon. Boundary throw in. Left full forward for East Perth. Merrington doing some ruck work. They go front and square. Chance for Noakes once more. Couldn't get a clear disposal away. Goes in after it again. Good determined play by him as he gets the hand pass out to Wolf. Wolf across his body. He swung it far too far and just managed to squeeze it through for behind.
The play down there by East Perth just at that stoppage. Wolf was the man that was just off the contest there and was able to get a release handball out the back. He just turned it too far over.
So they bring the ball back into play, Swan Districts. Through McKinlay, finding Wolf, the goal scorer last week. Now he's caught, just managed to get his kick in ahead of Brennan's tackle. Another chance now for East Perth through Wolf. He gets it out to Swan. The skipper was taken in a tackle. They're in all sorts of bother now as the Swan District's rather agricultural hand pass comes up from Travis. It goes back into dispute, and there is stamps in the mill. Lowest most on that pack is Brennan. He's been penalised for holding the ball as Todd Ridley has wandered up to the East Perth bench.
We've got Nick Kane, Macaulay, Mills and Batchelor.
Just enjoying the shade for the moment, the East Perth bench players, as Wolf up on centre wing. The recipient of that free kick drives it to the right half forward flank, out in front of Lang, who gets a bad bounce. Webster picked it up beautifully, thought about a hand pass, now he's clear, wobbles the ball in toward the centre square, diving effort by McDonald, was paid. I didn't think he thought it wasn't going to be paid. Got it to McKinlay, who kicks it out in front of the leading Ames, couldn't take it, but he's got support from Pearce. Now across the body by Johnson, into the pocket, and a clever mark taken down there. That full forward, and I think it might be
Ingle, maybe.
Ingle. Yep, it is Ingle who's taken the mark, and only around about 35 metres out from goal. Distance won't be a problem.
He used his body beautifully there. He just held Agostino, I think it is, just off the contest. He got his body and his strength behind where the ball was going to be, and poor old Frank just tried valiantly to get a fist to it but couldn't make contact with the football.
From the St Mary's Club in the Northern Territory, Ingle from 40 metres drives the ball but just blaze it across the face of goal, so both sides have got a behind on the scoreboard.
And the new rules into play this year, you really need to use your body well, and if you get your arms out, you're not allowed to spoil the arms anymore, so it's in the forward's advantage these days to use their body.
Sometimes you're almost going to have to give up. If you're out of the contest, you nearly have to let him mark the ball uncontested.
Brennan makes some ground out of the goal square, then beautiful foot pass. Finds a teammate in Byrne, who gets the hand pass now over to Travis on the right boot. Beautifully onto the path, onto the chest there of McKinley. Well, perhaps the umpire was a little bit premature with the whistle, because certainly Ben McKinley should have marked that. Back to Travis. McKinley again. That kick not so good off the left boot. It was almost off the inside of his boot. Taken by Piani to Josh Roberts out wide. Michael Johnson, will it sit up for him? He's handed him against the boundary line, but he did well to get the hand pass there to Barros on the burst. He drives the ball up toward the half-forward line. No mark taken there. They're in a bit of trouble now, Swan Districts, but Lang has it. He got a clever hand pass in the end from Simpson, and the Lang kick, a good centering kick, but the saving mark taken down there. A beauty, I think, by Spanderman.
Certainly was.
Using his height to good effect. He only had Pearce to beat, who's a much smaller player than him. So away go East Perth now. From half-back up towards the centre line. Good mark taken by Noakes, who's been prominent. Good quick thinking too. He got onto it, gave it to Wolf, who was in the corridor. Wolf, well, they've just got the extra player forward of the play. Wolf found Merrington, who runs into the goal square, and East Perth have got the first goal on the board. In the end, an easy one. They really had the Swan Districts players out of position.
They certainly did, and that all came about really by a good strong mark by Lane Spanderman in the last line of defence, and a quick chain of foot passes to open up their forward line. Good to see East Perth sort of trying to run the game quickly instead of a bit of stop and start like they did last year. This all goes back to their fitness. They obviously got confidence in each other to be able to run the game out, and this was a great squaring up kick to Wolf at the top of the 50-metre arc. and knowing full well that he's very much a team player, he just gives it off to Merrington and makes sure that it's an easy goal in the end.
So back in the middle of the ground, good start by East Perth. Again, Powell and Spanderban, but Spanderban won the tap, sharked by Roberts. He got the hand pass out to Wolf, who's playing in a midfield role this afternoon. That was a good kick into the path of Beros, who took it well, elected to play on, squaring kick. Good mark taken down there in front of goal. I think Jesse Pearce it is. Well, Webster certainly had him outsized and out-bulked, but Pearce got that front position that you were talking about a moment ago, and it makes it difficult for the defender, no matter how big you are and how small the forward is.
Certainly does. You know, a couple of years ago, you would have taken a good swipe at the arms to knock away the ball, but you just can't do it. So if you use your body well, it's completely in the advantage of the forward.
He's got a satellite strapped to his back there to determine how far he runs this afternoon, Jesse Pearce, and he's made no mistake. That was a good goal. Well, good forward move by Swan Districts. It started with Wolf in the middle of the ground. Beros played his part. It was a good centering kick from him. And Jesse Pearce, strong mark and a very accurate kick on goal. So the quick reply by Swan Districts.
Sure was, and Shane Barris has started out of the middle of the ground early on, Ryan, and that was a terrific centering kick there. And I suppose he was a bit ambitious. He took on a couple of the East Perth runners, and it wasn't through misfortune that it ended up in Jesse Pearce's hands, and he kicked truly. So they have had a couple of opportunities already, Swans, and sprayed them across the front, but that's a good goal.
So Wolf for Swan Districts, Daniel Wolf, is getting a fair bit of the ball in the midfield, and some of his penetrating kicks are rather telling as Piani does some ruck work down to Pearce again. He's busy. Screws the ball inside 50, and with the run of the ball there was Garth Taylor. Just showing the advantage of getting a quick clearance from the centre of the ground. And Piani clever with some aerial work. Pearce involved again, and now Garth Taylor marking 40 metres out directly in front.
He's going to need a pretty good kick, I reckon. He's kicking certainly into the teeth of the southwesterly that's blowing down there.
Yeah, the windsock fairly well stretched on the outer side of the ground as Garth Taylor comes in, kicks. It's going to fall just short and marked by Agostino right on the last line of defence. There's a raking left foot kick, Agostino. This time he uses it short. Finds Byrne, who's been quite prolific early, drives the ball to the centre wing. Miles met it with his shins. Now he's a bit of a dasher, Luke Miles. Plenty of pace on his side. Low kick to the half-forward line. Ames got down low. He's a big man. Had to go down a long way. Now it's Piani. Screws it across his body. Chance there for Oliver, number 12. Got the hand pass away. Copping's hand pass is swatted down. Beros did well to get it back to Piani from one step. Sends the ball up toward full forward. Swan Districts have got the numbers here. They could convert. Pearce had it, lost it, dragged down by Spanderman. Garth Taylor in there again, very scrambly. Adam Lang feeds a hand pass out to McDonald, gets it back to Lang, now to Armfield. Very clever, beautifully manoeuvred by Armfield, kicks in toward the goal square, and Ingles taken the mark. Well, they persevered. They had the numbers and had possession for quite a while. East Perth were on the back foot, but it almost seemed inevitable, Ryan, that that ball was going to end up with a Swan Districts player.
Yes, and also to having a player playing in front. That quick kick out just caught the East Perth defenders on the back foot, and that's the advantage of playing in front. But it was a really good scramble forward by Swans. They didn't let the ball get out. East Perth had their hands on the ball a number of times, and they just kept the pressure on them to force a turnover and then to get some quick hands out. So you can see that wonderful hand pass out. Armfield there, good slide of foot to get around his players, and there's that mark in front. So good strong mark.
He's got some good strong hands, Ingle, doesn't he? A couple of times when the opportunity's presented, he's been very strong, and that one was a ripper. But their tenacity to keep the ball alive inside their attacking 50 Swans was terrific there.
That goal coming up at the 9-minute mark of the first quarter. Ingle has 1-1. Spanderman tapped the ball down. Sharks by Lang. He managed to get a boot to it. Roberts fed it off beautifully to Beros. He did likewise to Piani. Swan Districts going forward from outside 50. Long kick by Piani. The only man back is Copping for East Perth. Marked in the goal square. Bennett Copping goes to the outer side of the ground. Finds Travers still inside the defensive 50.
Hancock time if he quickly turns.
And he elected to get the hand pass off to Agostino, often the preferred kicker because he is such a lovely kick. This one's no exception. Wolf got up but couldn't mark. Now he's dispossessed. Danny Burns there. He was holding the ball, but East Perth have got the advantage. Byrne feeds the hand pass out to Brennan. Brennan now onto his right boot. Great spoiling effort out there by Miles for Swan Districts, but Brennan runs onto it. Gives it to Byrne. Byrne had a lot of it, and his attempted kick across his body, swatted down and over the line by McKinley. He's been busy. Burn.
He certainly has. He looks nice and fit, but a couple of missed opportunities there to get the ball forward, one by Brennan and Burn, which they'd be bitterly disappointed with those efforts.
So inside the attacking 50 for East Perth, boundary throw in, comes down now to McKinley. Swings the ball high across his body, and again he's offline. So East Perth have had a few ambitious snaps on goal that they haven't been able to convert. As Swan District's Nankiville short to McKinley. There's a couple of McKinleys out on the ground, one for each side this afternoon. McKinley for Swan District, back to Roberts. So they've gone right back to full back as Roberts goes to Armfield. Clever young player Armfield, a very high kick up towards centre wing, stops in the breeze. Wolf covering a lot of ground and getting a lot of the football. That's a strong mark.
He's obviously very fit this year because he's playing in the middle of the ground as a ruck rover. That was a bit sloppy.
McDonald under pressure. Now Lang's under pressure, so Wolf's got to go back in after it again. Strongly keeps his feet. Worked over a bit there by Travis. And, well, that was some sloppy work, as you mentioned, Doro, and it's brought it undone for Swan District when they really should have been going forward.
Yeah, well, sometimes he just released the ball to a guy that was going backwards, and his handball execution wasn't good at all.
Chad Morrison has come on for Mark Piani. First move for Swans.
Kick caught behind their power. Spanderman unlucky not to get a free kick, but Lang got the hand pass there to Roberts. A high kick towards centre wing. Strong work there by Swan Districts, but Eastwich, in fact, Greatwich got the hand pass there to Hancock, who goes high up towards centre half forward. No mark taken, but again, Swan Districts had the ball robbed off them by Craig Wolf, and Wolf just really didn't get onto that kick at all. It floated into the pocket. Luckily, it was taken by Merrington, because I have a feeling that Craig Wolf is having a shot on goal.
Well, you'd like to think he was passing it, but yeah, I think you're right. He was having a shot on goal. Interesting role for Craig Wolf. Known more as a defender, as a back pocket. He's been thrown up forward and has probably been the instigation behind two goals, or if Merrington kicks this, both of East Perth goals.
Yes, and snapped a point himself. Let's see what Merrington can do with this one. And he has really dragged that far, far too narrow, and another minor score to East Perth.
It's always been a bad pocket to kick goals from that one down there, and basically just didn't allow for the breeze there, Andrew, at all. But you're right, like Wolfie's found a lot of space up there too, Ryan, hasn't he? He's always got the ball. When he's had it, he's had plenty of time to make a decision, which is advantageous for East Perth.
Yeah, he's very clever, so he knows how to peel off a contest.
McKinley for Swan Districts. Good foot pass. The lead came from Miles, and he's found that player in front of the scoreboard. Miles now sees a lead. Up towards centre wing. Well, in fact, there's a big pack there. No mark taken. Morrison, first possession to the feet of Roberts. No one ran at Roberts, so he had plenty of time to steady and go with a short pass to Ames. Swan Districts with some precise foot passing, working the ball forward. Armfield should have taken the chest mark, didn't. Knocked it forward for Lang. He gets the hand pass out in the path of Roberts, who was a very good player for them last week. Oh, he gave it off towards Garth Taylor, who kicks on goal and should have done a lot better. I thought it might have been a legal disposal by Josh Roberts to get it up to Taylor.
Yes, it was terrific work. He hit the contest so hard then, Garth, and had everything in front of him, and just rushed it in the end.
Did everything right except kick the goal. Normally you'd expect Garth Taylor to kick those. Agostino indicates he's going to go long, and does. Prodigious kick from full back right up to the centre square, and at the back of the pack the mark's taken by Hancock. Plays on quickly, hand pass to Seal, set up nicely for him, short pass, forward they go. Webster gives it off to Craig Wolf. He's been prolific as well for East Perth. Into the pocket, Noakes couldn't take the mark. It's still close to the boundary line. Noakes was there, and the ball eventually coming off the boot of McKinley for Swan Districts. McKinley for Swan Districts, McKinley for East Perth. And a couple of Wolves, not Wolves, right? A Wolf.
Not a pack of them out there?
For Craig Wolf for East Perth, and Daniel for Swan Districts. The ball thrown into place. Banderman almost interfered against once more. Stacks on the mill. Matt Seals hailing a cab, and he's going to be rewarded. He put the hand up and said, what about holding the ball? I'm sure Shane Barros won't be happy with this. Let's have a look. Shane Barros unceremoniously dumps Matt Seal. Has a word to the umpire. Perhaps that's the prerogative of Sandover medalist. You'd know, Ryan.
Well, yeah, you're allowed to mouth off, as I said. Yeah, no, not at all. And if he wants to get more votes, you wouldn't keep mouthing off. But see, this is the rule that comes into play now. When you dive on the ball, you've got to get it out. And if you're not seen making an effort, it's almost automatically holding the ball.
Well, Matt Seal appealed for it. He got it. Now he's got a chance to kick a goal. He kicked 5 last week in their win over West Perth. And this one is a bit narrow, so some missed opportunities from both sides, really.
Yes, and they need to make every post a win of the Royals, because I reckon Swan Districts, we certainly know they're going up into the breeze. They've been far more productive when they've gone in. I think East Perth have just blazed away. They've got 2 big targets down there, Spanderman and also Andrew Merrington, not utilising them enough.
McKinley looking for Daniel Wolfe. Couldn't take the mark. Now for Noakes onto the left boot. High kick, looking back down there for Merrington. He couldn't take the mark. Seal nearly had it. Was he dragged down without the footy? Play on's the call. Taken by Swan. Kicks the ball out into the pocket. It's still in play. Well, it's not any longer. As it's taken over the line there, that man for Swan Districts, Dean Ipovitz. A new player to the club, coming from Menunda Hawks. Where's that, up near Cairns? I think we found out, Doro, didn't we?
It is. Nice holiday spot.
Powell wins it down for Swan Districts. Merrington, quick hands, were they a little bit too quick? Noakes had his kick smothered off the boot. McDonald for Swan Districts to Armfield, slung it out the back. They're going to get out of trouble here through McDonald. Falling hand pass to Johnson. Another long hand pass to Beros. He was nearly claimed once, twice, and then got out of trouble. Hand pass to Armfield. Look away hand pass to Johnson. Johnson's clear at right half back. Goes with a long kick up towards centre wing. Lang the target. Roberts getting the crumbs. Feeds the ball off there. The hand pass went out to Simpson, who threw it onto his right boot. Pierce has got the run of the footy. He's got pace. He now centres the ball. It's a one-on-one down there. Ingle opposed to Agostino. Soccering the ball away, Oliver. And Oliver's going to win the day for East Perth. Takes a bounce. Long hand pass to Travis. Travis has got plenty of support coming from behind him. One of those players for East Perth supporting him was Greatwich. He kicks to centre half forward. Merrington, I beg your pardon, it's not Merrington, it's McKinley. He's all on his own at centre half forward. The Royal sets it up high to Merrington, who's in the goal square. He was wrestled to the ground, no free kick, and that's a rush behind.
And Shane Barros has come off for a rest, and Tyson Lane has gone up to the half-forward flank.
Thanks for that, Todd.
No worries, and if you can tell him apart from Daniel Wolfe, you're doing all right.
There's the kick to Morrison, Chad Morrison. That wasn't a good kick by a player of his experience. McKinley, hand passes to Greatwich. He was taken in a tackle over the top of his head. Swan, hand pass to the ground, taken by Travis. McKinley again, another hand pass to Seal. Have they overdone it? Byrne couldn't control the footy. He was taken down by Garth Taylor, who knocks the ball out into the clear. They might get out of trouble here, Swan Districts. McKinley, Miles, Morrison, they've got the numbers. Miles is the dasher. He really has got some pace. Puts the ball into his right boot, and, well, an ill-directed kick sees the ball go over the line and out of bounds, I think, on the full. That wasn't the finish to that passage of play that he wanted. Should have done better. 18.5 minutes have gone. Brennan, centering kick to Agostino. That one to open space into the path of Merrington. Gets the hand pass off to Wolfe. Another one now to McKinley. Swings the ball across his body almost nonchalantly. Noakes put a hand up and it's rolled through for a behind.
Needed to put that ball just a bit further out from the top of the square. His teammates were sort of moving that way, but he just sort of carried it over the top.
Was he a bit casual the way he put it onto his boot? Perhaps just the way I was viewing it. McKinley for Swan Districts finds Nankerville. Both playing in the last line of defence. Johnson at half back, couldn't take the mark cleanly, but he's got lots of time and room. Gets it onto his right boot. Lead came there from Wolfe. He's having a terrific first quarter. Made a couple of mistakes, but he's really worked hard right across the centre of the ground. Chips it there into the path of Simpson, stylishly onto the left boot, into the pocket. Oh, well done, Agostino. Beats Ingle on this occasion, shows the ball to one opponent. Hand passes to Swan, gets it back now onto his preferred left boot. He goes long, beautifully directed, down over the centre of the ground. McKinley has it for East Perth. Forward of centre, goes now to the lead of Noakes. Diving effort not taken. Recovery fantastic. Puts onto his left foot. That's a great goal. From deep in defence, right down into the attacking zone. East Perth controlled the footy, directed it well. And that solo effort from Noakes is perhaps his best effort amongst a few good efforts in this first quarter.
It is, and once again it boils down to Frank Agostino's work down the back was beautiful. The old 1-2, and McKinley, how many has he had on his own? 15 or 20 metres in space. Somebody needs to take responsibility for him, and what a great second effort. you know, relatively big guy, hit the deck, was up within a split second, and just did a little check side across his foot. That was a well-needed goal by the Royals. Puts them in front at the 20-minute mark of the first quarter.
Okay, so a very even first quarter. Some missed opportunities by both sides. 2-6 to 2-2. Just over 20 minutes have gone in the term. There won't be a lot of time on. Ames gets it down to Lang. Kept the ball clear and gave it to Simpson. Just managed to get a smothered kick away. Wolf had it, lost it. It was almost taken off the end of his boot by Taylor. Ames is still in there, paddles it out for Piani. Put his head down, will get a free kick. It was reckless by Craig Wolf. The player's head is going to be protected. Piani with his free kick turns it into a hand pass. Wolf, unusual the way he tried to dispose of that footy. Now he's turned it over. Oliver's done well for East Perth. Long hand pass to Brennan. He's got time to put it onto his right boot, well out in front of Noakes. And he shins the ball away. He was under pressure there from that man in Ipovitz. And we'll see a boundary throw in for the momentum just with East Perth in the last 5 or 6 minutes. Goal would be handy. They're kicking with a breeze. 8 scoring shots to Swan District's 4. They lead by 4 points. You can see the time clock there. Just over 21 minutes have gone. Goal he would be handy. Merrington doing the ruck work. Garth Taylor roved it cleverly. Got a hand pass to Nankiville onto his left boot. A kick of desperation. High, out of trouble. Roberts nearly took the mark. Couldn't though. Eastwell has it for East Perth. Hand pass to Spanderman. Now to Hancock. He can weigh up his options. Goes long to the half-forward line out in front. Merrington couldn't take the mark. Ames has it. Hand pass to Nankiville. He hand passes to Lang. Swan District rather doing it well. Lang and Beros, the old firm, combining well. Beros a high kick. Wing and a good mark taken there by Spanderman. I think Roberts might have conceded a free kick in any case as Spanderman conceded some ground to Copping, to the middle of the ground, and Brennan, one of their veterans. Long hand pass to the run of Agostino. One bounce. He can kick a goal here. He's 10 metres, 15 metres, 20 metres forward of centre. Goes with a long kick up towards the pocket. Noakes, can he gather it? He can't. A slight leg break and it's gone through for another behind for East Perth.
And another missed opportunity. Great run by Frank Agostino and a good block by Zach Beck as he came through, but just needed to steady a bit more if he was going to have a shot on goal. Swan
District's trying to get themselves into trouble in the last line of defence here. Beros and now Nankiville combined to get the ball out of trouble and then straight back into trouble. I think he might have been trying to pick out that player who's been dragged. Garth Taylor was on the boundary line, but the kick from Nankiville was not a good one. Now Byrne plays on. Clever work by the Rover. Formerly from Geelong, his kick falls short, however. Seal wanted it longer. Nankiville takes the saving mark.
They're just wasting that ball, you know. They've got those targets down there. As Ryan said, there's got to be a hot spot when in doubt and you're 70 metres out. Put it to a spot where your big blokes can really force a contest. If they don't get it, make sure you've got those people at ground level to maximise the opportunities.
Nankiville got it from Lang and now goes back to Beros. Well, they've got nowhere to go, the Swan District's players. Nowhere to kick to. Nankiville makes something for Beros. Accepts the hand pass. Now he goes long to the outer wing. Backing there is Michael Johnson. He takes a good mark.
There was a good kick in the end, wasn't it?
It was. When they had nothing to kick to initially. Johnson, low to Ames. He's been paid the mark. A couple of times he's had to get down very, very low, Talon Ames. But he's very agile. And the umpire urging him, in fact now calling him to play on. He does so. Centres the ball. No one gets a hand to it. Webster fires the hand pass off to Copping. Eastwell just pulled off his kick slightly. It might favour, however, Merrington. It bounces into his hands. A slick hand pass will favour, perhaps favours Byrne. It does. He gets a hand pass away. They've got still control pretty well. Byrne got the ball back there from Scott. I beg your pardon, from Macaulay. Now Webster has it. And, well, that man was on for a long, long time, but in the end, the pass wasn't too good. And McKinley for Swan Districts has picked out his man in Pierce. And Swan Districts may just have weathered that storm. Or the Piani kick, not a good one. Byrne met solidly by Roberts. Beros, cleverly, hand pass to Lang. He hand passed to the call there. East Perth are still in this contest. McKinley is forced into almost into the fence there by Lane. A bit of biffo. Now, I don't know whether or not the first or the second was seen there, but Lane has been penalised.
It's been reported.
Reported. Now, the umpire's telling Copping to just hang on. Lane is a little bit bemused. Did you see what the actual offence was, Doro?
I've got this wonderful pillar just sitting in front of me, so I missed it. Sorry, Phil.
No apology needed, but Lane will have a charge to answer, perhaps for unduly rough play. I didn't see any striking, but Copping is the man with the free kick. Nearly 25 minutes of play gone. Perhaps one forward sortie left for East Perth. He finds a man in Spanderman. Shane Berros on the mark is trying to direct traffic and urge his players to run down and pick men up. He can realise the danger here. Swan Districts are flooding back. Spanderman gets some good distance with his kick. His target, there was McKinley, who roved his own crumbs beautifully, snaps on goal, and that's the one they wanted. Well, they've worked very, very hard for it. Their supporters are happy. And that was just what Swan Districts didn't want in the dying stages of this first quarter, a goal. It was a good one in the end by McKinley, and they lead 3-7-25 East Perth to Swan Districts 2-2-14, and they haven't scored for a while, the Black and Whites.
No, they haven't. East Perth have sort of worked their way back into this game, although I'd be fair to say Swans wouldn't be too disappointed with the first quarter. There is a fairly good breeze blowing down East Perth's end at the moment, but fortunately McKinley kicked that because to his right was Wolf again for East Perth, probably 20 metres on his own. He just had to lay a handball out, and he was pleading for the ball, but he dragged it across his body to kick a goal. So it would have had a case to answer to if he had have missed that one.
I wonder if there's time for another score. Talon Ames there on screen, doing the ruck work for Swan Districts. Opposing him, Spanderman. Ames got a hand to it. And as the whistle gone, it's gone to Wolf. There's going to be a free kick to East Perth here. Morrison had it. You can see him there. I'm not too sure that he knows what it's all about, but East Perth with the free kick, so they've got a chance to go forward again once more. This is Macaulay for East Perth, right in the centre of the ground, sends it high. That's the best option. Can they take a mark down here? Noakes flew but couldn't take it. Piani there, lost it. Picked up now by Swan, who swings the ball to the goal square. McKinley tried to hack that ball out of the air and managed to get it through for a minor score. They've done all of the attacking really in the last 10 or 12 minutes.
He's missed his target from the kick in and dribbled it over the line.
It's another chance.
Looking there for Morrison, and it went astray. And it's Matt Seal with it. Well, he's hard up against the fence almost.
Should be a very, very good kick if this gets home, but the siren is looming.
Yeah, well, the breeze will assist here. It's blown across Matt Seal. He sets it up high. The breeze takes it back. Not a bad effort, but the ball's come off hands. And yet another minor score to East Perth.
9 behinds. 12 scoring shots to the Royals in this first quarter to 4 Swan Districts.
And they've really dominated the last
15 minutes.
15 minutes they have. Some East Perth supporters there quite happy they've made the journey up to Bassanine Oval. This time the kick into play finds Morrison. It was intended for him last time. Morrison finds Lang. Swan Districts probably just happy to keep possession here. Oh, Lang turns it over. That was a terrible kick. Meant for Jones, taken by Brennan. He goes long up toward full forward. Swan Districts again under siege. The ball knocked in toward the pocket. Roberts leads the race. He'd be happy for it to go over, and it does.
Can you get done for deliberately not trying to pick up the ball?
I was just wondering that. I mean, it was certainly deliberate, but he had no say in the fact that the ball went over the boundary line, apart from the fact that he just didn't pick it up. Keeping tabs there on Matt Seal. Ball in. Beck doing the ruck work for East Perth. McKinley under pressure, wobbles the ball. It's almost a check side kick under pressure, and in the end it was a good one for Swan Districts because, again, it's found the boundary line. Macaulay and Pierce there. Swan District supporters sitting in the members' reserve. Would be a little bit disappointed with the last 12 or 15 minutes of this quarter. Still East Perth, the side most likely to score. The ball's on their half-forward line. As it's thrown in, Spanderman works it down to the front of the pack. Piani tried to get a hand pass away. It was a fresh air hand pass in the end. And then again for Manchek. Got a semblance of a kick away, but it landed with Oliver. Oliver's clear now for East Perth. Oh, good vision. He kicked a centre half forward, and somehow Matt Seal has found just too much room there. And he has marked about 49 metres out from goal.
Well, Josh Roberts peeled off thinking that the ball was going to go straight towards the goal. So he peeled off to try and fill in the hole. And the young player for East Perth in Trevor Oliver just straightened himself up and at the corner of his eye caught his teammate in Matthew Seal.
Yes, Oliver, not a bad first quarter from the Waratahs in the Northern Territory. Matt Seal sends it on its way. It's not going to quite have the journey. Almost a mark down there in the goal square. The ball off hands. Taken by Ipvitz. Morrison. Roberts. Another hand pass as the siren goes, so East Perth certainly dominating the second part of that first quarter. And at quarter time in warm conditions here at Steel Blue Oval, East Perth 3 goals 9-27 leads Swan Districts by 13 points. The Black and Whites are 2-2-14.
There was something so pleasant about that place. Even your emotions have an echo in so much space. And when you're out there without care, yeah, I was out of touch. But it wasn't because I didn't know enough. I just knew too much. Does that make me crazy?
Well, it was a pretty even quarter, Ryan, I thought, up until about the halfway mark, and then East Perth seemed to gain the ascendancy. They certainly had more of the ball, but unfortunately they just couldn't convert on the scoreboard.
Yeah, they'll be disappointed with their conversion. They had a lot of the ball forward of the centre line, but just either through overdoing it, where they tried to do the team thing just too much. You know, when Webster should have gone back and had a shot on goal, and he tried to pick a player out 15 metres forward of him, but a lot of wasted opportunity. Swan started pretty well, got themselves into the game and looked like they were going to threaten to kick a few extra goals and didn't do it. And then all of a sudden, maybe it's the fitness of East Perth just sort of come into it. They have got the breeze, but it's not enough really, 13 points with a breeze like this. So, Swans would sort of be saying, right, it's our turn now. They've got to chase us.
Well, let's have a look at some of the vital statistics in that first quarter. If we look at the goal kickers, first of all, the Swan Districts, Ingle and Pierce started the ball rolling for Swan Districts, but East Perth hit back through Merrington, McKinley and Noakes, who each kicked a goal apiece. The Swan Districts, Lang with 12 possessions has done particularly well. 9 to Roberts, half a dozen to Pierce. Beros, as usual, has had a fair bit of the ball. Morrison certainly got amongst it when he came onto the ground. Piani, McKinley and Nankiville in the last line of defence was he and McKinley were very, very busy under siege down there. And for East Perth, McKinley, across the centre line, 9 possessions. Byrne, 9. He certainly burnt early. Merrington is a target. He's had taken 3 marks and had 2 shots at goal for 1 goal. Brennan, 7 possessions. Wolf, also 7 kicks, was dangerous. Agostino, brilliant in defence. Noakes, 7 possessions. And Copping also doing well in the back line for East Perth. Well, that translates to quarter time stats that look like that, Doro. The kicks and marks and handballs, well, not the handballs, rather, in favour of East Perth, but Swan Districts with those handballs, a lot of those have been at close quarters and they've been under pressure dishing them out.
They have, and there's not a lot of it. There's 4 possessions in totality between the two sides. Swans have turned the ball over 2-1 basically, and given East Perth some opportunities. Centre breaks, look at that, 6-0, and marks inside 50. 10 to 20.
That's remarkable. 20 inside 50s there for East Perth, 20-10.
Well, it's an amazing. They've gone down. Like Swans have had 4 scoring shots, and they've probably converted 40% of that. But East Perth have got a 60% strike rate when they go inside 50. But they'll rue the fact potentially, Ryan, as the game evolves and gets into the 3rd and 4th quarter. You know, that scoreboard could so easily be
9-3.
Yeah, 8 goals for 9-3. Because if Swans turn around, you've got to play to your strengths, and you've also got to play to the conditions that are here this afternoon, and you wouldn't want to muck around with the ball. I reckon East Perth blazed away a little bit, and you've got to make a decision when you are too far out to kick the goal. Don't kick it to the goal line so it gets forced over the goal line. Sit it up, keep the ball alive so you've got some sort of chance to get the major score on the board rather than getting points forced across the goal line.
Most definitely, and the other thing too with East Perth is that they've got to be a little bit smarter with the way they are going about it. So they've had some good run out of the back line, but it's up forward that's been letting them down.
Well, Todd Ridley's out by the East Perth camp there. Let's see what he's been able to pick up. Todd.
Yes, Phil, thanks very much. All the coaches had a bit to say there. Paul Simmons, Steve Sadowski and Russell Bomber-Thompson. They broke up into the groups as they do these days. They're all very happy with the quarter, apart from like you mentioned, the inaccuracy in front of goal with 3 goals 9. Very important this quarter to run it up into the breeze. Out here, as you can see by my hair, again, it is very breezy. So it's, I think out in the ground it's more so than up in the commentary box.
All right, thanks very much for that, Todd. We can see.
So you got sunscreen on, Phil, because I'm a bit concerned about him.
It certainly is shining out there this afternoon.
Very glassy.
You see the East Perth camp there. And They're very, very tight as well. There's Steve Turner. He would not be, as you've made the point, not unhappy. He would be unhappy with the fact that they, I think, conceded a bit of the momentum, but happy that they're still well and truly in this game, and they just need to play the way that they did. Kicking with that breeze, you can see that it's quite strong, favouring the end of the left of screen. Swan Districts have the breeze in this quarter, and if they can play the way they did in the first half of that quarter and kick more accurately on goal, make better of their opportunities, then they're certainly going to be in front, you'd think, at half-time.
Well, they will. It depends on what structure they come up with. You can probably sit here now and you think, OK, Talon names for mine should start the second quarter. Ryan on the ball. You get your blokes at ground level. I wouldn't mind seeing Wolf and Adam Lang isolated inside 50 on their own. Two great players, 6'1"ers, 6'2"ers. They're very difficult to match up. And if Swan Districts, unlike East Perth, when they get their momentum and run the ball from the back half, they've got to be very precise and methodical in what they're doing. Don't blaze away, hold the ball until that opportunity presents up, because you can very easily kick 6 or 7 goals in a quarter with the breeze we have here this afternoon at Bassendean.
The thing they've got to be careful with...
I think we're about to go downstairs, and Todd Ridley is going to be talking to Rob Turner.
I certainly am. Now, Steve, the scoreboard doesn't look too bad because the wind's quite strong, but a little bit undisciplined and very loose in defence.
Yeah, not so much in defence, I don't think. I think it was the turnovers up forward that cost us, because, you know, we want our back half to run and be confident in that regard, and we're going to get caught out on the rebound if we don't capitalise up forward with that run, and I think that's what happened. Yeah, look, it was a pretty tough first quarter against the breeze, but you know, as long as they stick to their game plan and tighten up a little bit, hopefully we can make amends this quarter.
And you made a number of changes. You got the mix right now, you think?
Oh, we'll continually mix it up a bit. You know, we've got to make sure we can run the game out, so that's important, to rotate guys through as much as we can.
Great, thanks, Steve.
Well, the second quarter's underway. You can see Shane Beros started the quarter by speaking to the umpire and getting a clarification on a decision, I imagine, that was paid against him toward the end of that first quarter. Meanwhile, East Perth have gone forward. See, some of the spectators were slated to get off the ground. The game actually started with about 3 or 4 spectators still on the outer side of the ground as Swan for East Perth drives the ball low and hard. It went past his intended target there of McKinley. Chance now deep in defence there for Swan Districts. McKinley bursts through, plays the ball close to the boundary line and eventually supported there by Ipovich, who swings the ball across the face of goal. Well enough directed, but an awkward bounce there. And gee, a high tackle, you'd have to say that was a high tackle. No, the umpire's called for it. Well, Nankiville there certainly committed himself, looked as though he was taken high, but the umpire not having any of it. There he was, dragged down in a flying tackle almost. Plays underway, still close to the boundary line. Michael Johnson, supported by McDonald. The kick across his body. Swan does well opposed to Armfield. Gives it out to Wolf from one step. Wolf sets it up very high. Needs a high marker here. Merrington couldn't take it. McKinley under pressure. Got the hand pass away to Formanchik. He was dragged off the footy. Roberts from his knees. Gave it to Nankiville. Well directed and well weighted. They're out of trouble, Swan Districts. Pierce draws a play. A long hand pass to Morrison. To Miles, who dropped it. Just took his eyes off it, I think, at the last academic moment. Eventually, it comes off for them and ends up with Beros, and that was a good sweeping hand pass. The Jesse Pierce is run down well from half back to almost just forward of centre. High kick to centre half forward. No mark. Hancock's there. Shrugs off a tackle. Does well. He didn't panic at all. Kept his composure. Got it to Travis. And now he's Perth out of trouble as Easterwell drives the ball up towards the centre wing. And a good mark's been taken by Noakes, who's been impressive.
He certainly has. For a player that was starved of opportunities a few years ago, he certainly started this game very well.
Looking for Merrington. Now Batchelor from outside 50. Floats it up toward full forward. You do need to be in front. McKinley.
He can't be behind in this condition.
McKinley was in front of McKinley. Gives it to Beros. Charges off across the face of goal. Shane Beros. He must have his sights on someone on the outer side of the ground. Eventually kicks into the centre square. Almost found Powell, not quite. The ball in the centre circle. Spanderman did well for a big man. To Seal. Now to Oliver. They're still in the centre circle. That was half a kick. Picked it up himself. Travis, sweeping hand pass out into open space. They've gone backwards. Copping, couldn't get there. Then got into the back, I thought, of Jones, who stood up. Hand pass to Johnson. Well played, Swan Districts from the centre wing. Johnson, a long kick to the half forward line. Decisive punch by Agostino, but it's taken by Formanchik. Hand pass to Lang. He's within scoring range. Lang shoots on goal and misses.
Well, they should have really penalised East Perth there. Travis's handball was a terrible one, which really opened up the door for Swans, and they should have capitalised and kicked a goal.
I'm very intrigued, Phil. We might get Todd to find out. Talon Ames has started the second quarter on the bench, which is quite surprising.
And Todd might be able to sort that out for us, as Agostino has found a teammate in Seal. To Eastwell, now to Travis. Travis does well to kick the ball out wide. Doing well down the outer side of the ground. Swan, they keep possession. Good Swan kick to Wolf. Wolf sends it up into the pocket. Getting back, Ipovich couldn't take the mark. Beros is giving him support at ground level. Hemmed in close to the boundary line. Hand passes back to Ipovich. He had the ball knocked away from him. And as seemed inevitable, the ball has gone over the line and out of bounds for a throw-in.
Talon Ames is just a part of a rotation. He's fine. He'll be back on in the next 5 or 6 minutes.
Okay, so Steve Turner rotating Ames and Powell off the bench. What are your thoughts on that one, John?
Well, I said at quarter time that I would have, in a preference with a breeze, get him onto the ball early in this second quarter.
Or get him down as a marking forward, perhaps. McKinley, Ipovich. Hand pass to Johnson, who's been good. He's a real dasher. To Morrison. And Chad Morrison from right half back goes up towards centre wing. Jones was the target. He was outnumbered. Armfield gives support. Got the hand pass forward. Hancock did well in a desperate situation, but his hand pass knocked to the ground again by Armfield. Tried to get the ball out. They've still got possession. Jones to McDonald. His hand pass out toward Lang. Seal does well against perhaps the more physically stronger Lang, and an East Perth player got pushed straight in the back. And I don't think Ingles have got much to argue about there. Agostino takes the ball off him, pinched it and played on. Kicks the ball up towards just backward of the left centre wing, and Hancock's taken the mark. Short pass, Swan, quick hand pass now to Travis on the burst. Low pass, not a bad looking one. Meant down there for McKinley, but McKinley knocks it away. Byrne, close to the boundary line. Hand pass, not a good one, but they've still got it. McKinley gets it back. Hand pass passes the ball now to Byrne. Hand pass inboard to Batchelor on the left boot. He's 35 metres out. This one's close. He likes it. The goal umpire having a good close lick. And there it is. Confirmation. Batchelor gets the goal. And a little bit of poor disposal there by Swan Districts probably contributing to that one. But East Perth just hammer home the advantage on the scoreboard, getting the first major of this second term. They have 4-9.
They've obviously been instructed at the start of this quarter to run the ball into the breeze. It was a good chain of small foot passes and handballs. Danny Byrne worked very hard on the outer side. He was involved in a handball earlier and then followed up his hard work and kicked it into Trevor Batchelor, who's finished off with a nice goal. Working very hard, East Perth. Swans are missing some opportunities.
There is Batchelor. Has spent some time on the bench, but looks a likely player. A good left foot kick, and that kick on goal was no exception. So the margin now is blown out to 18 points. Play recommences in the middle of the ground. Pearce got it, gave it to Lang. Swan Districts go forward now. Wolf was the target. The ball knocked away from him, but running onto the footy there was Simpson. Blazes away, and they really need to do a lot better than that.
He did everything right, got front and square. He just needed to bring the ball across his body a bit more, allowing for that breeze. He didn't allow it all.
Talon Ames about to come back on the ground through that rotation that Todd really was talking about just a moment ago, as Agostino goes deep into the pocket to Wolf. Back across the face of goal to Eastwell, and that has really come unstuck. It looks bad when they do things like that. I mean, it's just, you know, it's not productive.
Not at all, especially when you've got players that are forward on that side. Just kick it to a contest, and even if they can spoil it and bring it out of bounds, better than going across the goal and then having it deep in your back line.
Yep, so a line ball now as the ball's thrown in from the boundary line. Ingle doing some ruck work, opposed to Spanderman. Through went Johnson without the footy. Oliver picks it up though for East Perth. He looks like a very good pick-up. Gives it off to Seal, who's just a little bit too slow. Dragged down from behind by Beros, the Tiger. And he'll be rewarded with a free kick.
No communication there, but it was a terrific tackle.
Beros, cleverly, a well-weighted pass to Simpson there. Now he blazed away a moment ago. Here he's got an opportunity for a set shot on goal. And I'm sure that he will make a much better fist of this one.
Well, he would want to. Like, this is a pretty important kick in the context of the game. We're probably 8.5 minutes into this second quarter, and this is an absolute must for Swan Districts.
The Swans need this one. Simpson sends it on its way. That is a pretty good kick. In fact, it's a very good kick. Well done by Simpson, and Swan Districts get the goal that they badly needed. They have got 3. That man getting his first. They're 3-4-22. The margin back to 11 points. East Perth are 4-9.
Well, it was a very good kick in the end. Being a left footer, he allowed for that breeze coming from right to left. Zach Beck in front of us, Lane Spanderman looking like he's coming off for a well-earned break, working very hard. And they needed that one, Swans. East Perth had sort of controlled the game and are playing it on their terms. Knowing that they're going up into the breeze, they can run the ball, as Ryan said before, get plenty of numbers around it and just keep on pushing and pushing. Their forwards are working up to present up and give opportunities to their players that are carrying the footy.
Warm conditions dictating that both coaches are operating their ruckman off the bench. Not a bad policy. Ames and Beck. It was Ames that got it down to Simpson. Clever hand pass to Lang, who's been important. He kicked the ball low. Hancock got a fingertip to it. Ingle now for Swan Districts. Slipped as he got his boot to it. Back to Hancock. This way and that. Got the ball out to Travis. Travis was taking in a good Morrison tackle. Well, he had no opportunity of getting rid of it for mine.
Well, that was his second one, Phil. There was, I suppose, a mini tackle first. We'll see here the first one came through. And then he went into the second one, unfortunately. But you're right. How much opportunity? And now there's 50 metres.
Well, I don't know what the 50 metres was for. You know, I take your point. It was the second tackle, and the umpire deemed that perhaps he should have got rid of it after the first.
And this one, one would suggest you could pencil it in. Chad Morrison's going to kick it from...
I'm going to ink it in.
...the top of the goal square, and 2 goals in a couple of minutes is very, very important for Swans.
Yes, and East Perth would not be happy with that, because Swan District's kicking the last couple of goals within a minute or two, and they're equal on terms as far as majors go on the scoreboard. Chad Morrison has been very busy after starting on the bench, and now the margin's only 5 points. And the momentum, Ryan, back with the black and whites.
It certainly is, and a lot of that's got to do with Adam Lang. His work in the midfield, I think, has been excellent. He's sort of playing a sweeping role, and if he's not getting the ball off the East Perth ruckman's tap by roving or picking off his tap, he's being used as a player that they can feed it back to, and he's probably had 5 or 6 clearances off his own boot. So he's doing very well in the midfield for Swan District.
So Travis there, perhaps hard done by, but he did have a micro window of opportunity. But the real tragedy was, I'm not too sure exactly what the 50 metres was for, but well, that's old news. The goal is on the board as Beck does the best of the ruck work for East Perth. Webster went flying through, got the hand pass out to Brennan. Another hand pass to Wolf. Wolf defensively to Brennan. He goes from one step. Good looking kick up towards centre half forward. Almost a screamer there by Miles. Or the tackle there right over the top there of Greatwich. He wasn't paid a free kick for Manchik. A kick in desperation in towards the centre square. Marked at the defensive side of the centre square by Morrison. Hand pass to Ames. Long kick up to the half forward line. Agostino couldn't take the mark. Eastwell's there to give support. Back to Agostino. He was already in under a lot of pressure. Agostino was taken high. He had the ball on the ground, copped one high, uses the free kick, turns it into a hand pass, and Brennan drives the ball up towards centre wing and finds Byrne. That was a good kick by Brennan. Greatwich. Good kick forward of the play. Hancock running off half-back and creating. He goes to the half-forward line. Well, Merrington and Batchelor down there, no talk at all. Made it easy for Nankivell. He kicks the ball low, playing the percentages close to the boundary line. Greatwich had it, was taken over the line there. And that was just poor effort. League football is not talking like that. That had to be marked by someone.
It had to be marked by the player in front. All Merrington had to do was stop and prop and keep his opponent out and just say to him, come back with the ball and mark it. It's always been a rule that the player in front would go for the mark, and he's tried to almost come over the top.
Something that the coach would be livid about, you'd think. Ducking his head but getting away with it on this occasion. Travis, he did well. It was a creative hand pass to Byrne. The foot pass not so good. McKinley went to his knees, got a defensive hand pass away to the boundary line. Armfield is there, right on the white line as he runs. There's a wrestle up behind play as Armfield's kick goes to Simpson. Who's involved in that wrestle there?
Beck and Ames.
Beck and Ames. That's a real old-fashioned wrestle there. The kick from Simpson goes close to the boundary line. Ames and Beck, I think they're going to call it quits.
Not necessarily.
Maybe not. They might take it on afterwards. Coming in there is Roberts to have his say. Meanwhile, well away from the fight, we've got a boundary throw in.
I've seen Zach Beck lose the plot doing this in a game and almost cost East Perth the game in a couple of minutes.
Simpson did some ruck work. Eastwell, the hand pass was to no one in particular. Now it's taken by Beros. He gets a Shepherd, but the hand pass not good to Lang, his old mate, partner in the crime. He got carried forward. Brennan wanted a free kick. Might have been a line ball on that decision. Just Lang gets to his feet. And that supporter there, he had his own thoughts on the matter. Nearly 13 minutes have gone in this second quarter. It's a close one, 5 points the margin on the scoreboard. East Perth leading. Beck got it down, but it was taken by Piani. And he was wrapped up. The umpire says, give it to me.
East Perth really aren't getting any value for money. They're getting their hands on the ball, the ruckmen are, but almost Swans are sharking it every time.
Bounce down. A lot of players around the ball up. Beck reaches over the top and palmed it down to Swan. Somehow he got rid of it. Desperation there. The two 38s come together, and Roberts, Swan District's 38, got a high one from Luke Webster, 38 for East Perth, and so Roberts with the free kick up toward the half-forward line. Ingle was there, but couldn't take the mark. Now it's taken by Piani. Wheels around onto his right boot, snaps the ball but doesn't kick the ball correctly. It floats into the pocket slightly across the face of goal. Swan dives on it. Well, he took possession in the end and hand passed the ball through, and he's going to get a free kick for a high tackle. Let's have a look at Talon Ames.
He's come off for a bit of a rest, and the big fella Luke Powell's gone back on and is competing against
It's hard to do the ruck work and the fights as well. It's going to take its toll on you, as Oliver has it at left half back. Wolf, they've created a loose man. Now he's Perth. Wolf goes up to the half-forward line. Webster clean with his hands. Gets on to his right boot. That's a lovely-looking kick. Almost dragging down the one-handed there was Merrington. Seal pushed off it. Johnson's been good for Swan District. So too Nankiville. Hand passes to the call there of Roberts. Hand pass, almost illegal. Miles, that hand pass not very good. Macaulay dives on it desperately for East Perth. Johnson still there for Swan District. So too Hancock, who's been good for East Perth. Clever little kick out wide to Merrington. Tries to draw Nankiville. In the end, Nankiville knocked the ball out of his hands. Support from Simpson. Nankiville gets a second chance, but I think the free kick lingered, and Merrington is going to get a lucky free kick at right half forward.
He really needs to make better work of that first handball opportunity he had, and fortunately for him, he's got the free kick here. It did linger the tackle.
So Merrington will take the free kick. He's too far out to score, you would think. So he centres the ball. Oh, that's a pretty good kick if it comes off. It was. That was good work shown there by Swan, the captain, who took it upon himself to create at about 35 metres out from goal inside the attacking 50. And it was a good kick by Merrington.
It was a good kick. All the players sort of tended to huddle at the top of the square, and it just created a bit of space for a midfielder like Swan just to drift into that hole.
So having done all that and taken a strong mark, Swan comes in, shoots at goal, drags it across to the left and misses.
Is it that bad out there kicking?
Well, that I think he just hooked that. It was just an old-fashioned hook.
Well, Todd did say it's nice and breezy down there at ground level anyway.
There's a good kick.
McKinlay kicks the ball long but not accurately. It's marked by Wolf for East Perth. Craig Wolf has been very, very busy, had a lot of kicks, sends it back from whence it came. Almost a Swan District's mark, not paid. Now East Perth dive on it. They're trying to trap the ball in their scoring vicinity. Well, they've done that adequately enough. 14 or 16 players around the ball at the moment. It's a crowded inside 50 as far as East Perth's concerned. You can see the numbers there milling around. This ball up, well, it's going to come down to anyone. Powell, Beck went up high, almost rove down there by Macaulay. Still the ball in dispute. Now, Beros has a snap on goal. Straight, you don't see that very often, do you, where a player just slams the ball onto his boot deliberately.
Last year,
that's
right, one through. And probably less pressure than that, actually.
But Beros, using all of his experience there, it really was very, very crowded around him. Now he gets a second chance in the pocket. Now he goes to Roberts. Josh Roberts. He's got nowhere to go. He's going to have to hand pass the ball over the top to McKinlay. Already in trouble from Batchelor. Piani. Hand pass to Roberts. They're finessing a little bit, Swan Districts, because they haven't got a target up forward, although that kick from Roberts was a good one. And Lang has taken a strong mark. He wants to get on with it quickly. Kicks into the path of Powell. The big man should have gobbled that up, but didn't. Under pressure, he threw it onto his right boot. The ball awkwardly bounces down there for Lane. Chance getting back for Copping, who didn't want to pick that ball up. Was quite happy to see the ball over the line.
Moved well, the big fella there in Luke Power, but just needed to hold that mark.
Makes it hard for him at ground level, doesn't it, when you're that big? He's a big fella.
Talon Ames just getting some air into the lungs and cooling down a little bit on the boundary line. He's obviously ready to come back on. Boundary throw in. Hancock was taken immediately in a tackle. The whistle's gone and the umpire will bounce it. 7.5 minutes gone. And Hancock, slightly built, but he's a pretty tough player, Ryan.
Yeah, he certainly is. He's nice and wiry and he can take a very strong mark.
Travis from his knees, quickly to his feet, hand pass to Swan, dribbles the ball by left boot along the boundary line. Beck gets there, met solidly. Well, in fact, Powell tried to meet him solidly, but Beck played it cleverly. Hand passes to Seal, another hand pass, good one to Wolf, lays it off to Travis. Now this is a good setup by East Perth down the outer side of Steel Blue. Travis has had a couple of bounces. He wants to swing it into the corridor, kick it into the back of his teammate's head. Here's Batchelor, taken off him now. Oh, good work there by Kane, but he was pulled off the foot. He couldn't get a kick away. Ipovic, desperately, got it to Simpson. Clever kick, he meant to grubber that toward the boundary line. Roberts is there, gets support from Armfield. Hand pass at close quarters, then a longer one from Armfield to Piani and Swan Districts now. Perhaps they can open East Perth up. Short pass goes to Powell, to Lang, who can run and kick a goal. He's a good kick, elects to go short. He's got a player free, and a beautifully well-directed pass to Jesse Pearce, who's marked 35 metres out directly in front. Well, that's the sort of result that East Perth wanted down the outer side of the ground, and I think Pat Travers has hit Wolf in the back of the head.
He certainly did. His disposals on occasions today have been pretty ordinary. He's missed a couple of handballs, and that one there, if he had got it in, he had his teammate on for all the time in the world.
Jess Pearce from directly in front with the breeze behind him. You would think that he would convert this opportunity, sends it on its way. The umpire does not move. Swan Districts have got the goal that East Perth perhaps should have got at the other end of the ground. They'd be very happy with that. Swan Districts supporters certainly are. And Pearce, well, that's what he's there for. He's a creative little player. He's got pace, and he's finished it off on that occasion for the Black and Whites. They move to 5-4 and East Perth 4-11.
Well, it's a good goal to get, isn't it, Ryan? Just not far out from half-time, but he becomes the first multiple goal scorer. And just Adam Lang, just footy smarts there, watching it, sizing up the situation. You could see him as he's running just outside of 50 there. His eyes were looking left and right. Spotted up young Jess Pearce out there, and he went back and did the job for the captain. And what Swans need to do, I reckon, Ryan, is from a confidence point of view, make sure they're in front at half-time, because realistically, they've kicked 3 goals to 1 in this second quarter, so they had a win, but need to be in front on the scoreboard.
They're edging their way there. They're trailing by just behind as Seal cleared the ball for East Perth, but taken away by Miles for Swan Districts. He sank the right boot into it, got plenty of distance. Pearce is there again for Swans. Hand passes the ball up. Garth Taylor's lurking. He's the danger. In goes Oliver, however, for East Perth. Taken in a tackle, released it for Manchik to Pearce. Cleverly again gets out of trouble and throws it onto his right boot. A good effort down there by Agostino, who flew.
50 metres.
He had to take the mark, and he will get 50 metres against Garth Taylor.
If Swans are smart, right, Frank Agostino plays the back line like a goalkeeper in soccer. When there's a contest and his opponent goes up to it, he'll peel off and almost guard the goal line. And he was pretty much unopposed there. He had the run of the ball, and that's a very good mark. But they'll end up with a spare man around the contest, Swans.
Agostino's kicked the ball out wide and found Eastwell, who was pressured from behind. And well done by McDonald. Didn't concede a free kick, and Eastwell's kick was a poor one in the end, went over the line and out of bounds on the full. He'd be disappointed. So the free kick with Pearce, who's been quite busy, and he kicks the ball up to the half-forward line, looking there for Simpson, but the ball's gone over the line and out of bounds. 21 minutes have gone. 1 point the difference on the scoreboard, and you'd probably say what they've improved their position by 12 points in this quarter, which is perhaps not enough with this breeze.
They'd want to be a couple of goals up at half-time.
Time's running out for them to do that. The ball came down to the front of the pack. A lot of players looking for possession. In burrows Webster, and the umpire with no choice but to bounce the ball once again.
The one thing they have got in their favour is that the last quarter, if the breeze remains as it is and they can come away at half-time, they're going to have it running in their favour. So if their fitness is good,
yep, you'd want to be kicking with it in the last quarter on a day like this, because the sun is energy sapping. Webster got the ball out to Batchelor, cleverly through the pack, gets it onto his left boot, got a good kick away. Noakes might have been interfered with from behind. Is that the way the kick's going to go? I don't think so. Yes, it has. Yep. Now, Ipovic is asking the question, but I think there was contact high, and Noakes has with a free kick. Spanderman comes back on the ground as Beck takes a break for East Perth. Noakes, rather awkward kicking style, but effective enough. It goes up towards Merrington, and he's going to be
push. Swan's kick, yeah.
The kick's going to go with Josh Roberts. One of their most underrated and hardest workers, Josh Roberts, I should say. Sends the ball out towards centre wing, looking there for Simpson, who flies and takes the mark. judged it well and had his sights set on it. And now another 50-metre penalty. Well, the umpire, Gavin Statham, there just judging that Simpson was unfairly dealt with after he'd taken the mark. There didn't seem to be a lot in it. But this is going to be a critical 50-metre penalty because Simpson now, who is normally a good kick, should be able to kick this right down in toward the teeth of goal. He's got the breeze behind him. Not a lot of leads as such, so I think it's expected of him that he'll go long. He does. Down toward full forward. From behind, the ball punched down by Lane. Copping had it, got a hand pass away. Kane to Spanderman. East Perth are going to get out of trouble. Spanderman's hand pass now to Swan, the skipper. Sends the ball out towards the centre wing and a good mark taken by McKinley. So good footwork there, good hand passing initially by East Perth. They've got possession. Can they keep it? They can. Merrington's led out very wide. He's as far up the ground as I've seen him today. On centre wing proper, out of sight of the ground. Merrington's short pass, and McCauley has taken the mark. McCauley going long, realising that time's running out. Oh, puts the boot into it. That was a good mark by Noakes. He read that beautifully through the air. He had the height advantage on Beros in any case, but still it was a good mark and a good kick.
It was a great kick to his advantage, and quickly summing up that he was a mismatch on Beros. So, yeah, great kick to his advantage. Maybe a slight use of the arms under the new rules, but nonetheless, he took a good mark and he really needs to kick this goal.
Maybe even against the run of play, Noakes will kick a goal here. East Perth, it'll be a very handy one into the breeze. They lead by 1 point. Can Noakes make it 7? Onto the left boot. Good looking kick applauded through by Spanderman, and he's got 2 goals. Well done, Noakes. Well played by McCauley. The kick, a penetrating one. And East Perth, just a little bit of breathing space on the scoreboard now. They lead 41-34.
It was against the runner play, wasn't it, Ryan, that one? So just a smart kick, as you said, and he's going to come off. His reward is to have a rest after that. Ooh. Oh, well, he didn't really use his hands. I suppose, like, if you put your arm there, realistically, you're just protecting your space. Shane Beros, not the tallest man, and he knew that in that contest with the ball coming in, finished off well. And he did it off 1 or 2 steps, I might admit, that kick. So it's a bit of a wobbler, but it got a good result for the Royals.
He certainly does have an interesting kicking style. He tends to hold the ball very flat in his approach, and off a couple of paces, leans back on the left.
So bounce down again in the middle of the ground. Spanderman opposing Ingle, who's doing some pinch hitting in the ruck at the moment. That ball going nowhere, and the umpire will call for it again.
Talon Ames is down at full forward at the moment with Tyson Lane in the goal square just behind him.
Hoping that he can just catch one and kick a late goal. Again, the ball's bounced. Swan tried to get it onto his boot unsuccessfully. Roberts was more successful for Swan Districts. Simpson taken to the ground, got a hand pass away, and again Stacks on the mill, but the umpire saying that the tackle was high. And late in this first quarter, Piani has the free kick, still inside the centre square, however. So a kick and a bit away from goal. Piani will kick it as long as he can. There it goes. Tried to overkick. The ball travels into the pocket, so it wasn't a very good one by Piani. East Perth will be happy to see this over. Agostino in the end played it very cleverly. Had a good first half, Frank Agostino.
Much improved player, Frank, over the last couple of years. Finding a nick out the back line where he started his career as a forward, half forward, forward pocket.
So Swan Districts have it deep in their forward line. Spanderman gets support from Kane. East well. McKinley. Now Swan, who kicks the ball beautifully out towards Seal, is lurking at left half back. Takes a bounce. Piani runs parallel with him, and Seal kicks the ball up toward the left half forward flank. Johnson, well, I think he's been paid the mark. He should have really done a little bit better. In the end, I thought he might have got the free kick. Johnson to Ingle at centre half back. 26, nearly 27 minutes have gone. Ames, well down the ground, has accepted the mark on his chest, gets around onto his left boot. This one off the side of the boot. Swan Districts players, Piani and Ames, trying to just over-kick in the final stages of this quarter. It'd be better to try and direct the ball down the corridor. And again, the ball's wasted. It's gone over the line and out of bounds. So 7 points the difference. East Perth still in front. Dying stages in the quarter. It's been a tight first half, and a rather draining one for the players because it's warm conditions, notwithstanding there is a breeze blowing across the ground. Ames from behind. Underground there, Swan District's player who flicked the ball up to McDonald. It was Simpson who flicked it up, but the kick from McDonald has gone to Agostino. He chips into the path of Kane. Short pass again to Seal. casually with one hand. Got a man on the lead, and he's done well to get that out toward McKinlay. Going forward well, East Perth. Here they are again. Hand pass not particularly good. Macaulay just fends off a would-be tackler, and now Macaulay goes long again. Who's down there? They've got the tall timber down there. Ipovich in the end did well for Swan Districts, and Nankiville mops up. Nankiville looking for Roberts. Will he find him? The kid's an untidy bounce. Great, which was met solidly, but did well. He just didn't flinch. He got the hand pass up to Spanderman. Spanderman, the centering kick. Noakes was the target. Johnson's there for Swan Districts. The ball taken off the end of his boot, and running into an open goal there is Merrington. Well, great courage shown there by Greatwich, who's coming off the ground, but East Perth, they really committed themselves to those situations down there, and in the end, the goal, which was an easy one, belied the situation that came before it.
It was a great contest. He's come off second best, the young man, but he put his team before anything else and was fierce in his contest there, because it was not a great kick off the left foot coming out of the defensive area for Swans, and made it very, very hard for Josh Roberts to control the footy. He just banged into the young man on screen there. Greatwich, I think he's got a beautiful cork, I reckon, Ryan, because...
but they're going to strap that up and try and keep a bit of pressure on it. But some big hits on this flank.
You watch this contest here between these two. This is the one, bang. See that his right thigh is going to be very sore tonight.
Plenty of body contact there.
Yep.
And there's a second big hit. If that had gone, Zach Beck then has hit.
Oh, Zach Beck,
Josh Roberts.
Yeah.
It is Spanderman in ruck, however, who got it down beautifully to Seal. High kick up toward the half-forward line. Taken by Merrington. Back to Seal. Kicks the ball up to the goal square once again. Getting into the front of the contest there, and just as well too is Ipovich. Quickly gets on with it. Piani did well, had the sun into his eyes, and he had an opponent in Batchelor coming at him, and Mark Piani did well to take that mark. Right on the defensive 50 to McKinlay. You can just lope up towards centre wing, slightly inboard to Pearce. Jess Pearce draws a player, hand passes to Armfield. Away they go now, Swan Districts, perhaps their last roll of the dice. High kick from Armfield, in toward full forward. No mark taken, at ground level, picked up by Garth Taylor, who throws it onto his left boot, and he does brilliantly. The sort of thing you expect occasionally from a man with Garth Taylor's skill. Now the umpire is just saying to Luke Webster, look, I'll sort this out with the goal umpire. Full time has been blown, and the umpire indicates a goal. So what a great last gasp goal by Swan Districts, and from that man there, Garth Taylor. Swan District keeping well and truly in touch with East Perth. At the long break here at Steel Blue Oval, it is East Perth 6 goals 11-47, leading Swan Districts 6-4-40. Yes, it is a pretty tough game and a pretty tight one as well. Only, 7 points on the margin at half-time, and the game's wide open, Doro.
Well, it is, and prior to Garth Taylor's goal there, it was going to be a 0-0 draw, because the quarter would have been won by East Perth in terms of not the scoreboard, but they actually both would have kicked 3 goals, 3 in that quarter, and that last one, it was a win to Swans, but they're still behind on the scoreboard. So I reckon East Perth have got the momentum. Swans have got a bit of work ahead of them, Ryan.
Well, let's see what the goal kickers list looks like at half-time. We see on the Swan District side of the ledger, Pearce with 2, Garth Taylor, that brilliant goal right on the siren, Simpson, Morrison and Ingle, the goal scorers. And for East Perth, Merrington and Noakes have 2, Batchelor and McKinley a goal apiece. And there are the quarter-by-quarters. It was the Royals by 13 points at quarter time. The margin has been narrowed to just 7 points at half-time. So we're certainly looking forward to a good second half here as we look at some of the major kick winners in the first quarter. Are we going to go to those or not? I think we won't. In fact, we're going to be have a few comments just very quickly, Ryan. Where does the balance of power lie at the moment?
Well, I think it's still with East Perth. They're going into they'll go into the third quarter with a 7-point lead with the aid of a breeze. Now they really need to kick 4 or 5 goals or get at least 3 or 4 up going into the last, because then Swans will have it. East Perth had the majority of the play in the second half of that quarter, and it was that last goal that was a saving grace for Swans. So they'll need to kick a few to have the real ascendancy in the third quarter.
They certainly will. Well, certainly now it's time for half-time at the footy. Today we have Clint Wheeldon looking at what the plans are that the council has down here for the redevelopment of Steel Blue Oval. We'll also be looking at the junior club of the day, the Moonditch Noongar Community College team, and we'll be profiling Adam Lang from the Swan District Football Club. Sit back and enjoy.
Hello and welcome to halftime at the footy. There are some grand plans being set in motion out Bassendean Way, and it's not just on the football field, it actually is the football field. For while Swans are talking up their chances for 2007, their home ground could be set for a dramatic facelift. It's a long-term plan, but in the next 10 years, Bassendean Oval could be redeveloped into what's been described as a multi-purpose park. Under the plan, the goals will be moved to run northwest to southeast. The heritage stands will remain, but the Oval's reorientation means they'll be located in front of the half-back flank of the team kicking towards Perth, instead of centre wing where they are now. The two stands, which house Swans administration, club rooms and sponsors' lounges, will be knocked down and replaced by new facilities on what will become centre wing. The proposed development will free up a large area of land which will be used for residential apartments, and the fence around the ground will also be removed to increase public open space.
I think they're going to keep the old heritage ones, which is great. No, I think it'll be good. It needs a bit of a facelift. You know, things are getting a bit old and run down. It's hard to generate the type of income you need to keep the upkeep as good, and we've got good support from, you know, the council and the Midland redevelopment. They're fully supportive and right behind it, and I think it will be a showpiece in the future, and, you know, something that we can attract hopefully a lot of potential players too, and sponsors, and you know, people within the community. Will be fantastic.
The plans are all part of the town of Bassendean's new centre area strategy. Submissions to the council regarding the proposal close in early May. On the field, Swans are off and running with a win over Perth in round one.
You know, the reserves have to account for their loss last week to make sure we get back on track there, and obviously the league, we want to carry on the way we went and just consolidate the good winning we had. Make sure plenty of enthusiasm, plenty of talk. We got the warm-up first and then a little bit of running, and then we'll go straight into the ball work. But it's not going to be a long night, it won't be a late night, so we'll get straight into it.
But last year's campaign also began brightly with 6 wins from their opening 9 games. The highlight was in round 10 when Swans became the first team to beat Subiaco for the season.
He goes long from 48. The margin is 10 goals.
Siren must be very close. There it is, in fact. 33 minutes have just ticked over, and Swan Districts have caused the boil-over of the season.
But Swan Districts then lost 10 of its last 11 games to miss out on the finals. It was a disappointing end to the year.
Oh, it was disappointing to fall away the way we did. You know, when we were in such a good position, you know, before we had the run of injuries, we were, you know, one game off a top spot, having just beaten Subiaco on the first side to beat them, and did it reasonably convincingly. And Subi ultimately went on to win the premiership, as we all know. And yeah, just to fall away and be crippled by injury. Positive was our reserves won the premiership, and you know, with that gives us a lot of optimism for this year.
It was certainly spoken about towards the end of last year, and when we met for the first time as a group. And it's something that's in the back of my mind, certainly, and hopefully in the back of some of the other guys' minds.
Injuries to key players hit Swans hard last season.
Stellan Oates was a massive blow for us last year, and there are a number of other guys that got injured during the latter part of the year. Preparation's a big thing that can possibly turn that around. We've got some new fitness staff down here that can hopefully help us out with that, so we'll do everything we can to avoid it, but it's something that might just happen.
Knee, driving up.
Speaking of the fitness staff, former British athlete Claire Peat is the new person in charge at Bassendean. And on the cold Tuesday evening this week that halftime at the footy was at training, the former middle distance runner was putting Swans through their paces.
Okay, we're going to do 50-metre sprints. Okay, we're actually going to do 50 metre pickups. So you start off steady and finish, and by the end of the 50 metres you're going flat out. We're going to do 4 50 metres, going off the 30-second whistle again. Everyone happy with that? Minute recovery, and we're going to do that 4 times, with the exception of, now we've been trying to decide what to call you, and it was decided that it was the veterans of the group. I wanted to say fragile, but I wasn't allowed to. Okay, so the more senior members of the group are just going to do 3 sets. Okay, but everyone else is going to aim for 4 sets.
Brian Dawson, who was our reserves coach, was also commissioned to do all the fitness coordination for us this year, and he got a more time committed opportunity at the Eagles, which he took, and you know, he goes with our full support. So we were left without having someone to coordinate our fitness side. We learnt of Claire. She's got good credentials from an athletics and running in the UK, and she was very keen to get involved, very experienced, and I don't think female has anything to do with her capabilities. It's just the acceptance of it in a football world, and to date, you know, she's very professional, and the players have accepted it well. To me, that's what it's all about. You know, if she does a role and does it effectively, well, male or female, it's achieves the results, hopefully.
Swans added 2 AFL players during the off-season. Jason Lane, a former Bulldog and Collingwood forward, and Chad Morrison, the former Eagle and Magpie. Morrison isn't training tonight. He's not been slack. He's actually exceptionally busy here at Swan Districts because, as well as playing, he's also the Colts coach.
Once I retired at the end of last year, that was the opportunity to come back to coach was just perfect, I think, and to work with the kids was probably the best way to go about it, because the kids are willing to learn, and they aspire to be AFL players as well as WAFL senior players as well, and if I can help their journey to develop and become good players and better people from it, I'm willing to do that.
I think he's been spending all his time with the Colts, so he's added more down there than he has with us. Certainly be good to have him running around every week.
As well as replacing Chris Maguire in the forward line, Lane also has a coaching role. He's working as an assistant to Turner. Morrison has the difficult task on game day of switching his focus from coaching the Colts to playing in the league side.
Been fairly strenuous. I thought, retiring from AFL, I'll have a little bit more time on my hands, and now I'm coaching and sort of playing, as well as doing work as well. I'm more busy than I've ever been, and I'm still getting used to the fact of playing in the seniors and coaching the Colts. But it's a long day on the Saturday. Getting up at 6:30 and coaching the Colts, and then preparing straight after that for the senior game. So I think I'll just get used to that. I think Ash Prescott did it a few years ago, and he got through the season okay. So hopefully I can do the same way.
But both players are fully aware that they have to earn the playing stripes in their own right. If playing affected their coaching commitments, that coaching was the first priority.
I remember after the first practice game, I had a massive headache going into the senior game. So, but like on the weekend, obviously we had a pretty comfortable win in the Colts, and it made myself a little bit stressless coming into the seniors game. But hopefully that can happen every week. But I'm sure that won't happen. But I think you just got to try and stay relaxed and make the right decisions when you're in the coach's box anyway.
And there's been a change in the captaincy for 2007, with Adam Lang taking over from veteran warhorse Shane Berros. Both players have high hopes for the coming year.
Everybody wants to play finals footy. We certainly believe we can. To start with, we'd like to get off to a good start. We got off to a good start last year, and we'd like to do the same again this year, but then continue that throughout the year. So finals football is where we're aiming at, and if we're lucky enough to get there, we'll take it from there.
The expectations for myself, a large part of my decision to play wasn't just to rebuild or anything like that. My expectations are, to ultimately win a premiership. There's a lot of young guys around the place that have had a lot of experience in league football last year that, it's just helped them out tenfold, and, I think it's fast-tracked them, further in their development that if they didn't play those league games last year, we've got a really good core of young players really ready to take the next steps. Josh Roberts and they can really affect games of football, and then you got the older blokes that can just provide the stability and mentoring for them. So really excitable time for the football club, and it's those young kids that keep me wanting to be there, and just that passion that I've always had at Swan Districts, and to ultimately experience success. I'm a believer in everything that you do it 100%. So I'm sure if we can do that, we've got every chance of going all the way.
And the coach also won't be settling for just being competitive in 2007.
We've set pretty high expectations for ourselves. We certainly want to play finals football. We want to give ourselves a chance of winning the premiership.
Kick it.
My name's Adam Lang, play for Swan Districts. Favourite sandwich would have to be chicken, broccoli. Eggs Benedict poached with a beautiful sauce over the top, some sliced ham underneath and crunchy toast. Probably playing my first AFL game and winning our first final 3 years ago for Swans. Probably out. I generally feel reasonably embarrassed when I step forward and waddle out onto the park and try and get around. Probably getting married. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Hands in the back rule. Doing interviews like this. Also doing interviews like this. I'm certainly scared of magpies and spiders. I think it's probably Josh Roberts, and it's just his ability to talk about himself over and over again. I certainly proposed to my wife. It's the only romantic thing I've ever done. I think I gave my dad a pair of socks that had been worn 3 times before for his 42nd birthday. Don't just say I was wrong.
Kick it.
Here today with the Muditch Noongar Community College and their coach Todd Israel. Todd, how have they been going this year?
They're going pretty good. They've done lots of training. They've been training hard, and I think they're going to be ready for their first game.
Very good. All right, boys and girls, how about a big cheer? I'm joined by an absolute legend of WA football, 92, 94 Premiership player at the Eagles, 96 WAFL Premiership player at Claremont, Chris Lewis. Chris, welcome back to Perth, mate. What have you been up to the last four or 5 years?
Oh, look, it's good to be back, Riddler, actually. I'm glad you mentioned the 96 grand final, mate. We had a good time that year. But, look, I've been coaching in Darwin for a couple of years, coaching in Victoria at Ballarat. So I've been living with the enemy, actually, for about the last 2 years. But just been back in Perth for about 3 months and doing a bit of work out here with Swans and, yeah, thoroughly enjoying it, mate.
Now, tell us about your role with Swans. What does that involve?
Initially, it was I oversee a kick and goals program, which is in the Pilbara, and primarily run it at Port Hedland Senior High School in Newman. And it's in conjunction with Eagles and the BHP. So it's a program that's sort of designed to retain kids to stay on at school for as long as possible. Also help out with the Indigenous players and the junior development with the Indigenous players at Swans. And as I said, have a bit of an assistance coaching role on match days and at training. So wear a couple of different hats at the club, but look, I'm thoroughly enjoying it.
Now, I saw you in the rooms doing a bit of coaching before you came out here to chat to us. Is your long-term ambition is to get back into a senior coaching role at WAFL level, perhaps?
Oh, look, it'll be probably one of my goals down the road, but probably it's a little bit way off from today. But look, I'm looking at that sort of line to take up, the next couple of years. But like I said, I've only been back in WA for about 3 months, and it was sort of good to get a feel for the WAFL and where that's going. And yeah, look, one day to be a senior coach would be great.
Terrific, Chris. Well, thanks for joining us, and good luck with for the rest of the year, and also the program you're running here at Swans, mate. Terrific to see you again.
Thanks a lot.
Now, just back to today's game. Both coaches are very happy with how it's gone in the first half, I should say. Steve Turner a little bit more disappointed, obviously, because as you see on the scoreboard, they're 7 points down. But their back line was a lot tighter. Their forward line put a lot more pressure on, which he asked for a quarter time. Glenn Buick, he's first year coach, and he speaks so well. I know he's a school teacher and he does a lot of speaking, but so composed, and he was wrapped with the first half performance and just wants the guys to continue on and run away with a victory. Back to you, Phil.
Thanks very much. Todd Ridley catching up with old mates down there at half-time as we see some of the highlights of the first half here at Steel Blue Oval. And there was Shane Beros, one of the old stagers here at Swan, setting up a goal for Jesse Pierce. He's been a live wire in the first half of this match. Dean McDonald, Adam Lang and now Dennis Armfield. That was some clever footwork. I think that's how you described it, Brian, in him setting up that goal for Ingle.
Yeah, it was very good footwork there. They just couldn't seem to grab a tackle on him.
Slight of foot, I think you might have said. A good mark there by Daniel Wolfe. He faded out a little bit, but he's still done some strong things. Johnson's been very good at half-back. Beros busy as usual. Dennis Armfield hasn't done a lot, but what he does is very, very good. As Swan Districts work the ball into their forward line. And Johnson again, he's been quite prolific. It'll be interesting to see what his half-time stats are. Wolfe and Piani getting amongst the stats for Swan Districts, and Adam Lang, well, he's a seasoned player, very clever player, as is shown by that foot pass there, and Jesse Pearce. That was the longer of his 2 goals. He has got a couple for the Black and Whites. Jesse Pearce again, and we can see there Pearce has got 2 goals. He's taken 5 marks, not bad for a little fellow. He's got 14 possessions, 17 possessions to Adam Lang. Likewise for Josh Roberts, 14 for Beros, 12 for McKinlay. Simpson has 10, as does Morrison, and Mark Piani a dozen. As we turn the page and have a look at East Perth's chief possession getters, you can see 14 possessions for McKinlay. Wolfe has 14 as well and 5 marks. Agostino in the last line of defence, a dozen possessions and 4 marks. Merrington 10, he's kicked a couple of goals. Seal a dozen possessions. Byrne has 13, Noakes 10, and Swan, the captain, has 11 possessions at the halfway mark. As we look at the match stats, 108 plays 102 kicks. Not a lot in the possessions there, Doro. In all of those there, apart from the ones further down the page, possession-wise, it's fairly even.
It is, and it has squared itself up even with the turnovers. The turnovers, Swans were pretty poor at quarter time. I think it was 16-6 from memory, and it's closed that area up. Free kicks, East Perth have certainly got the better of that today. They've got themselves in more often than what Swan Districts have, and inside 50, probably representative of that first quarter when they did have 12 scoring shots to 4. So all in all, it's all pretty tied up and relatively even at half-time, Ryan, but it's more about what people do in what is known as the premiership quarter. East Perth have got that advantage because they come out after half-time with the breeze. I'm sure Darren Buick's just wanting them to stick to the process and the plan. Let's make sure that we use the ball far better than what they did in the first quarter, and I would suggest they may have set a goal to kick a minimum of 6 goals in this third quarter.
And they want to be smart about the way they approach the third quarter. Yes, there is a breeze, but it won't do the work for you. They work very hard against the breeze, running and carrying the ball. You can still do that, and then with your last kick, kicking it to your teammates' advantage, not just blasting away or blazing away, which Swans did a fair bit in that second quarter.
Interesting stats. When you look at those centre breaks, 9-4 in favour of East Perth, but the inside 50s, 37-24 in favour of Swan Districts.
They're obviously not getting much penetration from the breaks. And when you also then the next stat up was also the hit-outs. East Perth dominating the hit-outs, so the Swan Districts players are doing very well at sharking the ball off the East Perth ruckman's hand.
That man there, Merrington, one of the keys in the second half, you would think?
Very much so. He needs to be a real focal point target up forward. If you can't mark it, bring it to ground. And of course, you expect your crummers to get front and square. And like the goal late in the second quarter there by was it Roberts?
Yep. They're certainly starting off with a bit of experience, one would say. Ryan Swan's on the bench, Dean McDonald, their vice-captain, Ingle, Tyson Lane and Luke Powell, the big ruckman. So at last looks like we're going to have Talon Ames in there opening up in the centre square bounce in this third quarter. He's going to be opposed to Zach Beck.
Yeah, well, he'll continue to rotate, you would imagine, with Powell off the bench, Beck and Spanderman. As Spanderman starting on the bench, we'll find out from Todd Ridley in a moment, because we'll be looking at the East Perth bench when we get a chance. Meanwhile, it is Ames and Beck. Beck is a huge man. He leaps and double palms the ball down to Byrne from ruckman to Rover. Byrne, a hurried kick. Gathered there by Fermanchik. Puts his right boot into it, sends the ball back over the centre circle again, and that's a good mark taken down there by Webster. Defensive hand pass to Agostino. Across the ground, Oliver, who's been under notice on a few occasions, chips the ball up high, but it was well directed. Finds Swan.
He can run all the way, Phil, nearly.
Just takes the one bounce and then floats it. It wasn't a very good finish by Swan. A shocker. Well, I was being kind, but yeah, that was a terrible disposal then, because he had all the time in the world, as you said, Doro, and then didn't finish off at all well.
Well, this is what we talk about, Ryan. Like, they get the opportunity, Michael Swan, the captain, 30 metres in the clear, and just didn't make sure that East Perth retained that next possession.
There is Spanderman. Macaulay. The ball comes down to I thought it was Macaulay there. In fact, it was McKinlay. Couldn't get a boot to it, and the ball is worked through for a behind. That's the first score. Let's go down to Todd Ridley, who's down at East Perth's bench.
Thanks, Phil. Yeah, we've got Batchelor, Eastwell, Macaulay and Greatwich, who has got that corked eye but should be right to come back on if required.
Yes, he's certainly working it over with the ice. Greatwich, he got a very, very solid knock, but his courage, undeniable, helped set up that late goal for East Perth. Now, Nankiville's been called to play on by the umpire. Very, very short pass to Armfield. That wouldn't have been paid in the pre-season. What did you think about the 20-metre rule, Ryan?
Oh, I thought it was not bad. It sort of made the game a bit quicker because you couldn't chip it around as such.
It's one that they could persevere with, I think, as the ball is kicked by Armfield up towards the position between right centre wing and right half back, but the ball's gone over for a throw-in. So 6-4 to 6-12. The first behind to East Perth. They lead by 8 points.
Great
the ball
tap.
comes down to Webster. It was a good tap. Webster not happy with his disposal. He just got a big up and under. Roberts showed courage. The ball lands there for Morrison. It comes out eventually to Piani, who gets around onto his right boot. That was well directed to Pearce. He certainly seems to have grown in stature, Pearce, as a player over the off-season. This could be his year. He's got the credentials. So to this man in Morrison. Chad Morrison on the half volley. Beros throws it onto his right boot. It's a good screw kick. He gets it pretty well back into the corridor there. Good courage shown by Roberts, who's taken the mark on his chest. Gets on with it quickly. He's got a man in for Manchek there. Couldn't take the mark. Garth Taylor was there as well. The ball hand passed over the top by Agostino. Comes down now to East Perth player who doesn't use the ball at all well. That was Kane off the side of his boot. And we'll see the ball brought back into play by Swan Districts. A centering kick there to Lang, who was taken high. So while Adam Lang's getting on with this, we'll go to Todd Ridley, who's got the Swan Districts bench.
Thanks, Phil. McDonald, Ingle, Lane and Powell.
The players starting on the bench for Swan Districts. Now they've got it to the half-forward line. The umpire says play on. They had the advantage anyway. The kick goes up towards the full-forward zone. Garth Taylor gets the hand pass out, and no mistake taken there by Wolf, who just had the one player to beat, but Dean Brennan was on a hiding to nothing as Garth Taylor whipped the hand pass out, and the Swan Districts have got the first goal of the second half.
It's a bit of hard work there, Ryan, wasn't it? It wasn't the most efficient goal, squaring the ball back initially. Little Garth Taylor was good enough to get through, but Chad Morrison's kick to Shane Barros landed 5 metres in front of him. Could easily have gone back the other way. Daniel Wolf down there isolated in the goal square. Just made his opponent go and attack Garth Taylor and the easy handball over the top. So
He's a handy player, Wolf, isn't he? Because we've seen the way he can play in the midfield. He can go forward and hold down a key position.
Well, he can, and he's a bit, I suppose he's a bit like Adam Lang, Phil, when they get around the middle of the ball. Big, strong bodies, they can use their weight and power probably a lot better than they can against their undersized opponents in the middle.
Back in the middle, the umpires pick out a free kick. Swan Districts trail by 2 points. Have they hit the lead at all during today's match at all? I'm not sure that they have.
Early on, no, they haven't actually.
So Pearce made himself available. Ames gave him a good pass. Now Pearce finds Roberts. Swan Districts gathering some momentum. The Roberts kick goes up toward the half-forward line. Wolf again showing his strength. He got to the front position and he's too far out to score, I think. Kicking into this breeze.
So you're going to need to find somebody here.
Any goal kicked at this end of the ground is worth a goal and a bit, you would think. Right in front of the Bill Walker stand. The long kick from Wolf. That was not a problem with the distance. Just the wrong side of the post. Well, I thought that he might have struggled with the distance. He made light of it.
He certainly did. He sort of ran out to the right and it stayed out the right, but certainly got the distance into what is a fairly strong breeze.
About to bring the ball back into play, and that's what the spectators up in the old stands, heritage-listed stands here, are seeing. They're seeing some pretty good footy, some tough footy as the ball's kicked back into play. Taken there by Travis. Hand passes it off to Danny Byrne. Long kick from the middle of the ground up towards centre half forward. Noakes couldn't take the mark, but he gets the hand pass from Merrington under pressure. Noakes doesn't get much of his boot into it. Here's a chance now from McKinley. Did pretty well to shrug one tackle. Hand passes to Swan. 15 lovers. He knocks the ball back towards Noakes. Noakes' kick, a hurried one, landed on the chest there of Michael Johnson. He's going to be caught holding the ball. Here he is. Well, he just tried to do too much. Playing on with it there. Now, will the advantage be played? I think it's going to be, because getting it onto his boot there was Mills. I don't think we've seen much of him at all. And East Perth after all of that, have got themselves another goal. A quick reply to that previous goal by Swans.
Certainly was a quick reply, and fortunately for Mills, he did decide to play on. Here's the chase. It was a bad bounce, and you only got to get a hand on him if they miss the bounce. He's played onto his left, and I think I heard Glenn Buick next door sort of yell. He didn't really want him to play. He wanted his teammate there to go back and have a set shot, but he kicked the goal, and that's a good steadier for East Perth, because Swans did look a little bit threatening early in this third quarter.
I don't know if he's had a possession yet. Have you seen Mills in the action at all yet?
He's only been on, I reckon, Phil, for probably less than 15 minutes. He had a little bit of a run in the second quarter.
So Beck does the ruck work. Swan District's first hands on it through Talon Ames. He got it onto his left boot well enough, but backing back Oliver, showing great courage.
Played very well so far.
He has.
Oliver.
He is a really good pick up by East Perth as Oliver sends the ball out wide. Oh, that's a beautiful kick to Webster. Didn't have to break stride. Webster with a long kick up toward the half-forward line, flying high there. Nankivell fist into it, trying to do some aerial work down there was Danny Byrne, I think, couldn't get his boot to it. Chance now for Mills once more. Well, he didn't have much time. That's probably all he could do was to throw it on his left boot. Unfortunately for the Royals, it's gone over the line on the fall. Pretty hectic down there. Mills didn't have a lot of time. Interested spectators taking advantage of the shade afforded by the grandstands here at Bassendean Oval. It certainly is a ground with a lot of character, isn't it, boys?
Especially with the white picket fence.
Yep. Oh, terrible kick into play. Now Merrington can really make them hurt. He snapped on goal. Unfortunately, fortunately for Swan Districts, he's dragged it too early across his body and again registered the minor score.
Who's that? Nankivell. Short passed it to Andrew.
He hasn't made too many mistakes today, but if you're going to make a mistake, make a good one.
Yeah.
So Merrington's kicked 2 goals too this afternoon as Piani kicks the ball long. Agostino, a good again. He's showing some aerial ability again today, Frank Agostino.
Just so reliable.
They moved him forward.
That's not.
Well, gee, that's terrible, isn't it? He was off balance, and if you're off balance, you shouldn't try and steer the ball down the boundary line.
It was just so low percentage. I mean, he's got the breeze. He could have put it to the top of the square. Merrington and Noakes are already there.
When you're on your half-forward line, why try and hug the boundary?
That's
corridor.
Right. And especially this side here, where it's almost impossible to kick
a shot
a
of the picket fence there. Gee, it's been around for a while.
I'm led to believe it's only one of a couple ovals in Australia left with white picket fences.
Yeah. Great to see as Mark Piani kicks the ball back into play. Approaching centre wing. Travis had a good hand pass to Swan, likewise to Agostino. Gets around onto that trusty left boot. This time he doesn't let his side down. Puts it right onto the chest of Spanderman. Spanderman wants to get on with it. He can now because there's no pressure on the mark. Goes with a short pass. Luckily, well, he had to thread the eye of a needle. Did that well enough to find Travis, who's marked at 45 metres out from goal.
It's a very must goal. This one is looks like Talon Ames is coming off again, and one would suggest the big fella Luke Powell, but it's not. It's Ingle comes back on. So very important kick this for East Perth.
Well, perhaps Ingle being preferred to sharing the ruck duties with Ames than Powell at the moment. But all eyes on Travis, former Peel Thunder player. Starts it out to the right. It's not going to come back. It just comes back enough to register the minor score.
Really expect a lot more from his foot skills and also handballing. It's sort of been pretty ordinary today. And that
Travis?
Was, Pat Travis. You know, he had no pressure on him there. It was a set shot, and he just sort of blasted across the side of the face to goal.
Finlay, that's a risky kick back into play. Spanderman puts a fist into it. Beros got a hand pass out towards Fernanchek. He was dispossessed. Now there's a chance for Oliver. Couldn't take it. Beros does, but he too is pinned. Beautiful work by Oliver again. Now Ingle just on the ground. Gets the hand pass to Roberts. He was pushed as he kicked. Causes the turnover. Hancock has it. Tried to fend her player off. Eventually he got it out to Travis. That was a better hand pass. Spanderman's attempted kick across the body was smothered. Now there's a chance for Chad Morrison. He got the hand pass from Simpson. High Morrison kick close to the boundary line. Johnson was there. Got the worst of all possible bounces. Webster hand pass to Agostino. Back to Luke Webster again. Onto the left boot. A bit of a miss kick, but it lands with Hancock. Gathers the footy on the second attempt. Back to Travis. He had his head taken by Adam Lang. And the umpire says play on. In fact, holding the ball. The applause of the Swan District supporters there, and Adam Lang, who took Travis right around the head, gets the free kick, but of course it was Travis ducking into the tackle. That was the critical element in all of that. Simpson over the top to Ipovich. to Armfield at full stretch. He couldn't gather it in. Fortunately for Swan District's Piani is there. He hand passes to Armfield, puts his head down courageously, just managed to get a toe to it. He'll get the free kick, but they've got the advantage for Manchik. Gave it to Josh Roberts. Long kick up toward full forward. Play on's the call. Agostino there. Backs out of the pack. Got a hand pass to the turf.
Kick.
Whistle's gone, and it's going to be a free kick to Frank.
Yep, Daniel Wolfe just infringed in his excitement to get hold of the footy while it was there.
Agostino, certainly one of the best players on the ground this afternoon. He finds Kane.
Seal's on.
Oh, he's got a couple of players here. He could have given it to Oliver or Seal. In the end, it was Seal who took it and shares it with Oliver. A bit of a racehorse. Couple of bounces down centre wing. Ran his full measure in the end. Then delivers up towards Noakes in the forward pocket. Couldn't take the mark, but he keeps his feet. Can't say the same for Ivovic. And now Noakes kicks on goal and he's missed it. Narrowly. Well, that would have been a good goal in the end. Just couldn't finish it off, Noakes.
Just going to maybe attack to the other side, Ryan. I reckon this side of the ground in front of where our camera is. That's where they want to be going. The other side of the ground, give themselves a chance to open up those goals.
Mark Piani made good position, dropped the chest mark, but has Lang in support. Gives the hand pass to Lang, who finds Jones. Now to Ingle, who dropped it. He's under pressure now, needs to get it onto his left boot. Does so, but a bit too erratically. It was taken by Webster. Agostino. Now Zach Beck. The big man puts it onto his right boot from right centre wing in towards the corridor at centre half forward. It clears the pack. Merrington is there, taking in a tackle, but a good hand pass under pressure to Swan. Likewise to Travis, and again Travis shoots on goal, and again he's a stray. In fact, misses everything. Just to underline what Ryan Turnbull was saying about his disposal a moment ago, he'd be disappointed. A good ball winner though.
He's getting plenty of it. It's just what he does with it.
Here he is, Pat Travis, part of the East Perth centre line. Boundary throw-in to take place. Left full forward for the Royals. Only a couple of steps around from the left-hand behind post. Merrington over the top went Nankiville. He got the fist into it. Swan Districts have the numbers. Roberts is there. Looking for a way out of trouble. It's a sideways hand pass to Morrison. He's got nowhere to go long, so he elects to go short. And it was a well-weighted pass, beautifully weighted, because there was no room for error. Miles has taken the mark. Slight inboard to Beros.
Got to be smart, the Swans, with the footy when they're going up into this breeze. They can waste a little bit of time. There's only one goal apiece to each of the sides in this third quarter, which is a win for Swans at this point of time.
Beros sees Ingle, kicks the ball that way, but Swan does well. He had a couple to beat and did it beautifully. Hand passes now to Brennan. He goes long from the centre of the ground, looking for Merrington. Doing well from behind was Nankiville. He's played well all day, apart from a couple of errors. Supported down there by Ivovic. He's pulled off his kick as well. Had a fresh air shot. Piani hemmed in against the boundary line. Hand passes to Beros, and Beros does well. A short pass to McKinley. Lang was there. Now for Manchik. Had no one to kick to, so he's got to double back and then kick high. A big up and under toward the centre of the ground, and reading it beautifully in flight was Frank Agostino. Now the whistle's
gone.
gone.
Free kick against Garth Taylor. Philly was just holding off his opponent to allow Frank to take an uncontested mark.
So Eastwell, that opponent, he kicks to centre half forward. Running onto the ball beautifully, almost as if it was intended for him, was Beros. He kicks over the centre of the ground. Now that's not been paid. I think everyone, including Wolf, thought that was going to be a mark. Still the ball's in dispute. Pierce there, he's swamped. The ball appears out the back door. Oliver gave it to Byrne. Now Byrne gives it to Brennan, and Brennan spears the ball out wide to Hancock.
Webster.
Well, who let him all alone? As Hancock kicks the ball up towards the half-forward line. On the half volley, Luke Webster, centering kick, a high one toward the goal square. Bit of pushing and shoving. Noakes is down there. Miles does well for Swan Districts against the numbers. He was very happy to find the safety of the boundary line.
It's another win for Swans down there, Ryan. 2 versus 1. Somebody had to get a bit of body on the Swans guy to allow his East Perth mate to, in the end, probably could have had an uncontested mark.
Some of the Swan District supporters finding this a nail-biting experience as the ball is thrown back in. Ingle, the player who got a fist to it. Down toward the front of the pack. McKinley for East Perth, the centering kick. But again, it was Beros. He just really knows how to read the play magnificently. Often he's on the end of East Perth passes, believe it or not. Beros, that wasn't so smart to Roberts because he was under a lot of pressure. Spanderman's there. The big man does well to knock the ball clear. Then Oliver, a clever little kick, only about 3 metres. Another clever kick, deliberately off the side of the boot by Wolf. Here's now a chance for Seal. He steadies, goes into the pocket. It was a little bit overcooked down there for Merrington, and the ball's knocked away by Nankiville. I think the East Perth coaches box not very happy with the result of all that.
I'll just put the mute button on, right?
And nor should they be. Their last kick into their forward 50 this quarter almost every time has been not to their teammates' advantage. It's been over their head or it's been on top of them instead of just out in front of them.
Boundary throw in. Comes down to Eichowitz. Plays the ball into the goal square. That could be a mistake, although McKinley had it. He snapped on goal. Couldn't kick it through the oncoming traffic. Morrison tries to work the ball into the open. Eventually Beck's hand pass goes out towards Mills, and Mills has kicked his second of the quarter. He might have had a quiet day and not much ground time, but he's been important in this third quarter. The applause of the East Perth supporters. He's kicked East Perth's eighth. It's a handy one in the context of this match because they now move on to 8-15 to 7-5 at 63, plays 47.
Well, they got the goal in the end, but I reckon it was probably through some of Swan's silly play. I think we'll see Eichowitz. Oh, he just did it before then, but young Andrew Mills was on the end of it. He just had to do a little bit better with what he did. He kept the ball alive and gave East Perth an opportunity and then another one, and you just can't afford to do that. You've got to make a decision, be very decisive, and don't give your opposition an opportunity to get a result through your bad play.
Ingle with a good leap, palmed it down to Adam Lang with just sheer strength. He got it onto his right boot, but he was under pressure, and Kane was on the end of the kick for East Perth. Gave it to McKinley. In fact, Copping it might have been. Batchelor. It was Copping. Batchelor's kick, a good centering kick. He was on his preferred left foot. He was tailor-made for him. He kicked to the space, and running into the space was Noakes, who's been impressive this afternoon.
It was a bit better by the Royals then, Ryan. They used the ball well, and the fatal mistake that young Eichowitz made then was he didn't think the ball was getting to Noakes, so he didn't actually compete, and in the end he took an easy mark on his chest, this young man, and he needs to kick another goal for the Royals.
Let's look at this kicking style. Not out of the textbook. Have a look at it spinning. Reasonably effective. It goes to the goal square. Didn't get much distance with it. Waiting for the crumbs down there. Swan Districts close to the boundary line. A high up and under. Is it going to go over the line and out of bounds? No, it stays in. McCauley's there. He hand passes the ball over the line and out of bounds. The player with the relieving kick was Eichowitz.
It's a very poor action by Noakes, isn't it? Somebody might have got hold of him by now.
Well, he's had it a long time because when I was down at East Perth, that kicking style has stayed the same. So no one's ever tried to correct him on it, but it is a very ordinary
He's
style.
been there that long, has he? Since you were there?
Well, not when I started, but when I finished.
Yeah. There's got to be a free kick there to Adam Lang. That was right in front of the Swan District's members reserve. Now Lang is going to be invited to go back and take his kick by the umpire. He was gang tackled there, almost an assault.
Nobody wants to man the mark for East Perth, so play on, Adam.
Lang does just that. Good talk, Doro. Lang, a good-looking kick. High fire again, Agostino. And he gets the crumbs at ground level. Hand pass to Brennan. Field opens up for him. That's a good kick for position. He kicked it up to centre-half forward. Hancock was there. Reliable overhead. Hancock plays on quickly. And it meant for Noakes, but Eichowitz got in the way and took the mark. Well, Swan Districts are under siege. When did they have it over their half-forward line the last time? The defenders are working overtime as Nankivell finds McKinley. Inboard, he's got a couple of options. One of them is Ingle. He chips the hand pass off now to Piani, changes direction, then kicks to the half-forward line. He needs the ball to carry. Johnson does well. It did carry for him. He's just outside attacking 50. Matt Seal on the mark. Johnson, not a noted goal scorer, sends the ball on its way. Pretty good kick into the breeze. The ball has some carry, and Bennett Copping does well to put a fist into it and force a rushed behind.
Swans want to make sure whilst they have the ball up here, if they can at all, they need to get a result. If they get a goal against the flow here, that'll be a very valuable one.
Kick back into play by Brennan. Meant there for Kane, but he was outnumbered. Powell to Ames, to McKinley, some tall timber combining for Swan Districts. Back to Ames again. He's got a fit of the fumbles when he least needed it. Throws it onto his left boot. Back into the corridor. Can they take a mark? They can. Jones over the top. Spectacular mark. Haven't seen a lot of him. He can do the odd mercurial thing. He was needed on that occasion, and he came to the fore.
He hasn't had much ground time today, Phil. I think he kicked 4 goals last week.
Yes, he did, Todd.
He's probably been only on for about 20 minutes all up for the whole game.
I reckon this one, Todd's going to be the most important kick that he's going to have this afternoon. This is so important to the context of the game.
Another player who has got a rather awkward kicking style. Let's see what he can do with this one. Well, yeah, I mean, he's got that action where he just drops it with both hands at the same time, and that
Dropped
can
it
often
from his
be...
shoulder. It looked like.
Which one's worse, Noakes or that one?
Oh, that one.
We'll just sort of make a decision that they both need a little bit of work, I reckon, right?
So he really needs to work on that. Meanwhile, East Perth, after that disappointing outcome by Swan District, see Brennan find Kane. He takes on Garth Taylor. That's confidence. Kane, a pretty well put together player, goes with a long kick to centre wing. Beck gets the hand pass off to Batchelor. That's his non-preferred foot, but not a bad effort along the outer side of the ground. Webster runs onto it, puts the ball onto his left boot. That's much better to the lead of McKinley, who was on the lead, and Webster just didn't try to drill the ball too hard. He just kicked it up so McKinley could run onto it, and he's going to shoot at goal from about 45 metres out.
He didn't even kick it hard. He just sort of looped it up to that space, and if the rest of the East Perth players take that sort of approach, they would be 3 or 4 goals further ahead.
McKinley, in he comes, sends it on its way. He's missed it to the left-hand side. The breeze got a hold of it. It's coming across the ground here at Steel Blue this afternoon. And Ben McKinley just not quite reading the breeze well enough on that occasion. I have a feeling Swan Districts are just starting to play with a lot of errors in their game. Now, they're going to get a free kick here, are they? At centre-half back, so off the ball, they'll get advantage of the free kick up at centre-half back. Fermanchik gave it to Morrison, but even so, the umpire not happy that the right player's got it. Fermanchik's got to take the free kick from behind the mark. Michael Fermanchik looking for movement. Well, it comes from the man behind him, the only person behind him in McKinley. Sends the ball out wide to Jones. Jones far too easily pushed off the footy. Now East Perth have got the advantage. Noakes. Hand passes up to Travis. McKinley again to Macaulay. Macaulay's got some speed. He takes on Adam Lang. He runs to 40, sends the ball on its way. What's he done? He's missed it again. Well, they're absolutely outplaying Swan Districts pointlessly here. I think that at this stage, I would suggest they're going to win this game by about 5 or 6 goals.
But it will be their points that they'll rue at the end, because the Swans will come home with the breeze.
Yeah.